fans, welcome to the Boopcast episode. That's all, folks. 75. We are your hosts, Caden, and he's that way.
Corey,
Over there.
you are that way.
Yes. I just noticed my camera's fucked. Hang on, I'll fix that real quick. Welcome to the podcast. We have so much to discuss.
I know.
The last two episodes.
Literally, honestly, these are two episodes that maybe should have had
their own episodes. Yeah, but you know what? If we go for 3 hours today, then we just go for 3 hours.
That's just what happens, yeah.
It's just what happens. I was away last week, so we couldn't have done one even if we wanted to, so...
That's also true.
What is this black thing on me? There we go. My headphones are falling apart. But, welcome in. We're going to be chatting about chapters 6 and 7 today. Lots happened. Lots to discuss.
So much.
So many bees.
So many bees. This is the first episode in a while I've taken notes on because, there was just so much in the episodes that I was I need to, have it written down so I can see. And I didn't even finish taking notes. I ran out of time. I didn't even get to fully through episode 7, and I already have 2 pages of notes, so...
Don't mind me, I'm just fixing you on the overlay. Your window was all weird. I fixed it.
You fixed it?
I fixed it. The connection is going screwy. What's going on with Discord today?
There is a part of it that could be my internet, because, 2 hours ago, we had, a momentary hiccup.
Yeah, we're having, weird... Discordy problems.
Here, hold on, let me see if I mess with the Discord call.
Hello?
Hello? Okay.
Are we good?
It's significantly worse, but it's solidly green, so...
I mean, your audio cut out for a second there, but it does that anyway, so I'm like, meh.
It was set to automatic region, and I set it to Sydney, so...
Fair enough. Well, you look fine now, so... Don't let it go to your fucking head.
Listen, I got out of the shower 20 minutes ago, so you're gonna get to watch my hair dry throughout this episode.
I just noticed my lighting was, again, really strange. Sorry if that keeps happening. Yeah. Ruby. So...
Where to begin?
Jesus. There's so much to unpack from these 2 chapters, I don't even know where to start.
Well, I know where to start. The intro to episode 6. Because they changed the intro.
Yes, they did. And I didn't notice because I skipped the intro because it's too fucking long.
And Larissa missed it too. She didn't notice until she was editing her video and went, "Oh shit!"
I don't know how she missed that because when you said it had changed, I went back and watched it and I was like, "Jesus!" It's a jump scare.
Yeah, literally in my reaction, I was like, "Jesus, that was a jump scare!"
Yeah, it's so weird
because I was in the middle of jamming to the music and stuff. It was literally just when John's face was there.
It's so weird.
So they took off the Rusted Knight's helmet.
I'm not entirely sure why they felt the need to make that change, and now I'm have other things been changing and I just haven't noticed?
The one thing I was keeping my eye out for in 7, because we had learned the information about Lewis, is that I noticed all the way back in episode 1 that there was a shadow in Alex's portrait. And so I was like, did they fill in his outline in her portrait? No, they didn't. So, I think it's probably just Jean.
But why? I'm like, why? I don't understand.
The only thing I can think of is to more properly show the emotion in his face.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. It just seems like a weird change to me. A weird thing to even bother to change. I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. It's just, I don't get it.
I kind of like it, though, just because, again, it is one of those things where it was oh shit, it changed.
Yeah. But once I went back and watched it, I was like, good lord. It's very And it's a very obvious, like, change that they made. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Speaking of Jean.
We get to find out how he arrived in the Ever After.
So I love how, like, the two of us and everyone else as well who, like, watches the show and makes content about the show were, like, wildly theorizing about why Jean had been there for so much longer, why he fell first even though he fell last, what's the story, like, does time work differently here, and, like, we're all going wild off with these theories. Meanwhile, the truth is just that he touched something he shouldn't have.
Yeah, literally.
In true
like,
Jean fashion.
He went, "What's this?" And, you know,
oh my god.
now I'm an old man. Well, it wasn't actually like that. He actually had to live out his time.
Oh my god. What a himbo. We love him, but he's a bit stupid.
I know. He is a bit stupid.
The last thing I would do if I landed in that strange place is to touch anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, I'm not touching anything.
The thing I think is really interesting, though, is that, like, Jean, well, one, Crescent Rose fell with Jean. Mm-hmm. Like, he chased after Crescent Rose, even though Crescent Rose was the second thing to fall. Like,
yeah,
Yang,
that's weird.
It was Yang, then Crescent Rose, and yet Crescent Rose fell with him at the very end, so weird.
I don't know what's going on there, yeah.
Yeah. But then, the fact that, like, Hi Bubbles. Hi Bubbles. But yeah, but the fact that, Jean ended up at that tree. Like, because the Ever After has been keeping them in place.
Mm-hmm. I just realized I was even wearing these glasses. Whoops.
Are they not the right glasses, or?
No, these are I can see better glasses, but they're not the ones I normally wear.
Oh. I don't really notice, I'll be honest.
Rude.
I'm unobservant. What can I say? I'm like, you have glasses. They're on your face.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but, like, Ruby got stuck in that time loop right next to Little. Like, could not progress forward without Little.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jean got led to this tree. And I guarantee if he had walked by that tree, the Ever After would have gone, nope, touch the tree. Like...
Yeah. Like it was forcing him into it.
Mm-hmm. It needed, especially because, you know, he is the Rusted Knight from Alex's story. So, like, the Ever After needed him to go back in time to be a part of Alex's story.
Yeah. I apologize for my lighting, by the way. The sun keeps disappearing and reappearing, and it's fucking with my lighting. Sorry. I just went fully grey. I was like, I look terrible. Hold on. Continue.
But yeah, I also noticed that there were flowers around that tree that were labeled, like, clock numbers. And interestingly enough, it included 11. Which the clock in Jean's part of the intro went 10, 12, 13. So I'm like, why? But the flowers included 11. So I'm just like, I don't understand. Too much symbolism, but I don't get it.
That's interesting. And I also have absolutely no idea what it could possibly mean.
I have no idea either, but I was just, it was the one thing that when I noticed those flowers, I was like, is 11 there? And then I saw 11 was there, and I was like,
This is the wrong show. It's the wrong show. 11's in a different universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's in Stranger Things.
I had a thought and I lost it. Yeah. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. When time started to reverse after he picked up the fruit, I really enjoyed the sort of visual aspect of that, where, like, the sky was sort of rushing by really quickly, but Jean in real time is, like, desperately trying to stop it from... And I don't know why he didn't just try and destroy it as the first thing he was doing, rather than trying to figure out how the damn thing works, if he can turn it off. Like, my first instinct would be to throw it on the ground and step on it. Like,
well, I think he was probably like, shit, I need to go like back.
yeah.
So how do I get it to go the other way? And although that could have ended up just as disastrously, like.
Yeah. I did enjoy the visual aspect of like seeing Team Ruby's like lights shoot back up into the sky.
Indicating that he actually did fall last.
Yeah. Which is interesting.
Also, another interesting thing is that Ruby and Neo's comets were in the sky at the same time. But Neo still fell significantly later.
It's weird.
Or maybe not significantly later, but like later enough that like the Jabberwocker had to leave.
Yeah.
And then also a thing I noticed in episode 7 is on Jean's map, the Jabberwocker realm is not connected to the Hunter Mice Acre at all. So like I don't know how the Jabberwocker got back to their realm, their acre, but
I don't know.
You know, they might have had to have gone much further to get back there to interact with Neo. Which is even more like, why the hell did Neo land over here? Like,
too many
literally
questions.
every other person has landed on the Hunter Mice Beach. So why did Neo land there? I have questions that probably won't be answered.
Probably not. Yeah, because that's a good point, because she's the only one that landed there. And yeah, why did she land so much later than they did? Yeah, it's too many questions. We don't have enough answers. I felt like we got a lot of answers in these 2 chapters, but also all of those answers only raised more questions.
Yeah.
And John's telling us one thing, the cat's telling us another, and then the paper pleasers were telling us yet another thing. And it's like, I don't know who to believe.
Yeah. Yeah, it's... like, that's the thing that's annoying, is I'm like, even the Afterans don't fully understand their world.
No, they don't.
Like... Also, I kind of hate the term Afterans. Like...
What would you prefer they call them?
I don't know, but I just kind of hate it. Every time they said Afterans, like, I'm finally getting used to it, but, like, every time they've said it, I've just been like, that just sounded wrong.
Yeah, I guess it's like saying Australians or Americans, you know, it's Afterans. But what's the alternative? Is to call them Afterwards, or... that sounds even more wrong.
The paper pleasers.
Yeah. The people
the
from ever
mice.
after. The fairy talers. I don't know.
Yeah.
Afterans, it makes sense, but yeah, it does take a bit of getting used to be like, yeah, it sounds like a made-up word, which it is, but like, yeah, it's... Every time they said Afterans, I'd be like, what? Oh.
Yeah, literally, I fully did not... The first time they said it, I fully had no idea what... I was like, what? What did they just say?
Yeah.
And, like, it wasn't until I was like, okay, whatever. And then I watched it again, and I was like, oh, Afterans, like the people. Okay, like... It just happens so... They gotta call them something.
Yeah.
Rather than being like, everybody, or, you know, these people, you know.
Those guys. I don't know if Afterans is a term they have used to refer to themselves yet, but Jean has been using it to refer to them. But...
Yeah, and I think... Did he... I feel like Yang might have used it at the, like, lily pad market. Because I feel like there was a time it was used before Jean said it, but I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
But yeah, they definitely haven't referred to themselves as Afterans.
No. They're all...
Maybe the cat said it at one point. I don't know.
I don't know. They all have their sort of, like, their names within their, like, you know, we've got the paper pleasers and the herbalist, and, you know, they all have their own different names, the hunter mice, and but yeah, they needed...
their purposes as well.
Yeah,
so, like,
they needed a colloquial term to refer to all of them. Yeah. God, there's just my brain is so scattered from these two chapters because like there's just so much
Mhm.
packed into
That's
them.
also that's also half the reason I need to take notes is I'm like I just need to get the sequence down.
Yeah, yeah. I just rewatched them
Um,
and I'm like I'm all over the place with like all the information we got bombarded with.
mhm. So yeah, so the next thing is Jean, he sets up shop on the beach, builds himself a little hut, and he's waiting for them to arrive because, he saw them in the sky. He knows they'll show up eventually.
That poor
And so he's
dude
just waiting.
would have sat out there every night for like 20 years waiting, just waiting for them to fall.
Hmm. Yeah, that's one thing that was interesting is later in the episode. Um, the cat goes, "Oh, Jean, it's been an indeterminate amount of time," and I was like, "You little shit!"
Yeah, they won't
Like,
tell us. It's so annoying. I'm like, I want to know how long it's been. But maybe like
well,
Jean doesn't
in
even know exactly how long it's been.
it's true. It's true. I don't think they want to give us a specific amount of time, but
Mm.
also, in one of those like post Ruby discussion things they put out on YouTube, I watched the one for episode 7. Yeah.
Mm.
And Carrie said that John had been here for like 10, 20 years, and like
10 and 20 are
it
very different numbers.
it was like I don't think they have a specific amount of time that he was here,
Mm.
but that it was probably somewhere within that like kind
Yeah.
of range. But I'm just like, if he's only like 40, why does he have so much white in his hair? Like,
The stress, Corey. He's
it's
been
true.
keeping the paper pleasers alive for 2 decades. The stress.
It's true.
And then all that shit with Alex as well on top of that and Lewis.
Yeah.
The man
Yeah.
is tired and very stressed and is going, I have grey hairs and I'm fucking not even 30 yet, so.
I mean, I've had gray hairs since I was 12, so
Yeah, exactly. So,
I have my little patch right over here.
yeah. Mine are all under my hair, so you can't even see them, but, um, yeah, I mean, you try being alone for 2 decades in a
I
strange
know.
place. You have no idea where you are, whether your friends are even still alive, when they're gonna fall. Plus, you have all the Alex and Lewis shit happen, and you've got to keep these paper pleasers alive every single day after day after day
Mhm.
after day, and
And
see
also
how blonde your hair still is.
I mean, not to mention that literally 5 minutes before he fell into this place, he killed a friend.
Yeah,
Like,
that let's not forget. Let's just bury
not
that
forget the
trauma
most
for a little while.
traumatic
Yeah, my
thing
God.
that.
Jesus. I was reading a thread, well, not a thread, it was 2 tweets on Twitter earlier about
Technically a thread.
being, well, people, how annoying it is when people refer to John as a self-insert, because it's like, generally speaking, I know, generally speaking, a self-insert character doesn't go through this amount of fucking trauma.
I know.
Like, usually self-insert characters have an agreeable time in the story, generally speaking. It's not always the case, but like, I don't understand how
Also,
people can still have that opinion.
yeah. Like, even, especially, I feel like self-insert characters are also usually like, Mary Sue's, like they are perfect and can't
Yeah.
and succeed at everything.
Yeah.
And Jean doesn't really succeed very often.
Jean
Like, that's
fails
kind
at
of
almost
his
everything
whole
he
thing.
touches. And which is, I mean, is a big trauma for him that was brought up in chapter 7 as well, is that like that feeling of him not being able to ever save anyone that he loves, and he destroys everything he touches, so fails at everything. And I'm like, I don't know how people can still use that argument that he's a self-insert. Yeah, the character may have started off kind of similar to Miles, but it's just not the case anymore.
Yeah.
It just isn't.
I also know that at least back in the day, a lot of those comments came from the fact that, like, Team Juniper in Monty's original vision of the show didn't exist.
Yeah.
But, like, the thing I think a lot of people forget is that Monty didn't like have the entire story
He didn't
like
have
planned
every
out in his
detail
head.
worked out. He
Like
knew where this. Yeah.
he had a world and a general like theme planned out, and then with Miles and Carrie formed a story within said world. So
Yeah.
like they realized that they needed this other team to help them carry the story.
Mm.
And so came Team Juniper, and you know.
Your captions aren't working all of a sudden. I'm
Oh,
only
really?
seeing me. Yeah. Why is that happening?
That is weird because I definitely saw
Yeah, it's working
myself
on the
not
website,
that
but
long
not in. Oh,
ago.
there we go. I just stopped and started it, and it's working again now. That was weird.
Quit being evil, thingy.
Technical problems. Okay, well, it's working now. What were you
Okay.
saying?
Oh, that like it, they weren't a part of the original like necessary plan for the show, but I don't know how much that original plan like was beyond like the big, huge story beats of
Yeah.
Salem and the relics and Ozpin's reincarnation and the four Ruby girls and like
Yeah. We don't know
all
how
that
how
stuff.
fleshed out the whole thing was. It's highly likely that he had a clear idea of where the show was gonna or where the story was gonna start and end, and not that much clue about what was gonna happen in between. There's probably
Hmm.
the large story beats are all there, but yeah, I feel like the details are something that often gets worked out along the way. But like,
Hmm.
just because something doesn't exist in the original vision doesn't mean it has no place within the story, and it's only
Yeah.
natural for a story to evolve as it goes. Nothing is
Hmm.
ever gonna be like the first draft. That's why we draft things
Yeah.
to
That's
improve
actually
on
one
them.
thing I keep seeing. I've kept seeing this, especially like because episode 6, Bumblebee finally kisses. I'm spoiling things for 10 minutes in the
How
future. How
dare
dare
you!
I? Um, but like,
It's not like I'm
and there
gonna
was
spoil it
so
with the title and thumbnail of this podcast.
it's true. I mean, we've also already been talking about stuff in episode 7 as well, so you better have watched both episodes because we're kind of gonna go all
If
over
you
the
haven't,
place.
what are you doing here? Go away.
Exactly.
Respectfully leave.
Um, but there was so much stuff I saw of people talking about like Bumblebee was planned from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, I don't believe you,
You don't think it
but
was
I
planned from
don't
the beginning?
care. I mean, I it's tough because like I know that especially maybe it's just also partly because like being a part of the fandom back during volume 1, Aaron and Barbara talked a lot about Bumblebee.
Mm-hmm.
And if it truly was the plan, like all the way back then, I feel like they would have not been quite so like, oh my god, about Bumblebee. Like even during Volume 1, like if they knew that eventually it was going to be a thing. But I don't
Here's the
know,
thing.
like
Did you watch the Always Open episode with Aaron and Babs on it where they discussed? Okay, so here's how I know it was actually planned from the start.
okay,
Because on that episode, Aaron talks about, I'm sure you know about the live stream from way back during
oh yeah,
volume 1 days where
yeah. It
they
was. I
went
think it was.
live, and without realizing, Aaron said, "Can I tell them that my character and another character are lesbian lovers?" And Kerry and Monty said, "Absolutely not."
Mm-mm.
And she's kind of played it off as being like
I
deliberate
mean,
all this time, but she revealed on that Always Open episode that it in fact was an accident. And she didn't know they had
oh,
gone live.
Oh, I always just took that as her being like, I want this, I'm
Mm-mm.
because Erin's bi, so she was,
Yeah.
like, can we talk about like the lesbian lover that my character's definitely gonna have,
Yeah, no, you definitely need to watch that Always Open episode because it's very
Okay.
revealing that, like, yes, this was the plan from the beginning and they both have been aware of it all this time. And
Okay.
that
I mean,
was
listen,
100% an accident on Aaron's side, and
I
she
have been a
played it off
Bumblebee
all this
shipper
time.
since day one, so like I
Ooh.
don't I'm not like, no, how dare, I liked Sun and blah blah blah. Like
No, God no.
that's never me. I've literally been like, beginning of the show, Bumblebee, love it. Like, so, but I was just like, I don't necessarily buy that this was always planned. But I mean, if it was, then
apparently it was, according to them.
Apparently it was. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, they were able to speak a bit more candidly about it now that it's actually canon. So,
and listen, and maybe part of me being like, I don't know if I buy it is just from like back during the days where Black Sun was a lot more popular, and people were like talking off all these Blake and Yang moments in the early days, as just, and so like maybe like some of that's still just ingrained in me of being like, no, don't, like, that wasn't necessarily romantic, but it's like, no, it was that was how it was supposed to be.
It's I think a Black Sun was always meant to be unrequited on Sun's part, much like Ilya's love for Blake was also unrequited. Blake has left a trail of like people behind. One of them's dead, but the ones that are not dead, like, she's just something about her, man. Everybody around her just falls in love with her. I mean, can you blame them? She's adorable.
I mean, it's true. Like, she's great. Love her.
She's great. Love Blake. Love me some Blake. That sounded really creepy, and I didn't mean for it to.
Love me some Blake.
Give me that. No, I'm not going to say that. Never mind.
Nope. Yep.
I brain to it to the same place just then. I saw it. What were we talking about? Bees. Yes.
Bees.
Yeah. So.
We were also talking about like the early days and John being a self-insert.
Oh yes, that's how we got on this topic. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it does annoy me too when people are still saying that. Like back in the volume 1 and 2 days, I'm like, whatever. But now I'm like, we're so far removed from
we're so far removed. Where the story
was back then that I'm like, can you just not? Like, can you just let the show evolve, please, without holding it to the same standards you did 10 years ago? Like, can you just not?
Like, the show, I feel like, changed so much.
So much.
Especially, like, I mean, between volumes 2 and 3, but especially 3 and 4, like, it maybe some of that just had to do with, like, I mean, some of it obviously probably had to do with Monty passing away, like, but I don't think that they are in any way, going against Monty's wishes, and anybody who says otherwise is just, they have no right to say that. Like, that's just what it is. We will never know.
Now is always where it was meant to be. Like, that much is very apparent, that this was always the plan to be where we are now. Maybe not in the exact way we got here, but this is very clearly an important beat for the story.
Yeah, they talked about, like, they were planning this all the way back, like, before volume 3.
Yeah.
Like, they wanted them to go to this Alice in Wonderland inspired place and blah blah blah, and they didn't have the exact, like, idea, but they had the idea of Alice in Wonderland and this weird thing, and they were going to make it a place on Remnant, and then, as time evolved, and, they came up with a way to make it like an actually magical place, so, but there was always this plan for, the Alice in Wonderland volume.
This is always the plan. It's just a matter of, like, how many volumes it took to get here and, like, the details that happen along the way. But, like, a side note, but I saw some people pointing out that with Alex and Lewis, Lewis obviously is the name of the author of Through the Looking Glass. Is that what it's originally called? Alice in Wonderland? Through the Looking Glass? Something like that.
Maybe.
Something about a looking glass. That's all I remember. But the original author's name is Lewis. But also people were saying that, like, Alex and Lewis together kind of makes Alice, like, if you put the two names together, which I just thought was interesting. I can't remember what the original name of the story is.
It looks like it was called Alice's Adventures in Wonderland.
Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, that's it.
And then its sequel is Through the Looking Glass.
The sequel's called Through the Looking Glass, yes, that's right.
Okay. But yeah, Lewis Carroll was the author of those.
Yeah, it's the original author of Alice in Wonderland, yeah. Hence why they named the character Lewis.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, that gives me a lot of theories.
Mm-hmm.
Because
so many theories.
Because as we find out later in the episode, that, you know, well, one thing that Jean says is that, you know, like, the book describes Alex as, you know, she's kind of petulant and a little, oh God, what was the word that he used?
I can't remember. I just rewatched
I can't remember,
but I can't remember what it was.
I thought to write it down, and I was like, no, I'll remember. I don't remember.
No.
But yeah, and they said that, but she was, you know, she was selfish and cruel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, aloof. That was the word he said. Aloof.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know, she wasn't characterized exactly the same, and then he says that, you know, Lewis was the clever and kind one, and then after what happened with Herb, Alex changed, and suddenly she was more paranoid and untrusting of everybody, and, you know, eventually culminated in her poisoning Jean.
Mm-hmm.
And then the cat took them to the tree, and then as we find out from the cat, the Alex had promised to take them with her to Remnant, and Alex betrayed them and doesn't know actually what happened after that. And Jean's theory is that Alex sacrificed Lewis to the tree to get out. But I wonder if in some way Lewis wasn't the one to get out instead. And so then he wrote The Girl Who Fell Through the World and wrote himself out of it.
Maybe, yeah.
And then, you know, portrayed his sister in a kinder light. Because, I mean, the other theory is that she got out and, you know, wanted herself to be portrayed more nicely in this book, or, you know.
It could be, yeah. I have a feeling we're going to find out exactly what happened with Alex.
This is definitely that's definitely an answer we will get at some point. That's not one of those questions that is like, meh, they don't need to answer it. But that what happened to Alex and Lewis is going to be critical information, probably in episode 10.
Yeah, it could be that Lewis was actually the one to leave instead of Alex. But I mean, it's so impossible to sort of know the details around what happened because nobody that we've heard the story from secondhand was actually there. So
yeah, exactly.
It's all hearsay and conjecture, and like Jean says, you know, that he reckons that Alex sacrificed Lewis to leave, which could have happened. The cat,
but he's also under the assumption that, you know, the tree will kill them.
Yeah,
like, you know, which everything that we've heard, why would the tree, like, the tree ascends afterends, but again,
they're not afterends, so it's a question of
and we know that one of them got out.
Yeah,
like somebody got out of
and wrote
Ever After
the story. Somebody did.
Yeah.
Whether or not it was Alex or Lewis, I guess we'll find out. But yeah, it's that question of like they're not afterends, they don't belong there. So what would happen to them if they go to the tree is kind of a massive unknown. I think that's why Jean is so wary of it, is that he doesn't actually know what will happen. But I mean, it was bordering on cruel of him to keep the paper pleasers from ascending just because he was afraid what would happen when he's a stranger in this world and doesn't understand the balance of life here, which is obviously has more of a cyclical nature to it.
And it's incredibly selfish.
They wanted to go because they said, we've fulfilled our purpose and now we just are existing with no purpose, and they were going to such lengths to try and end their own lives so they could ascend.
Like that was why we got the content warning at the start of episode 7. I was so nervous when I saw that warning as well, where I was like, what the fuck happens
every
in
time
this
there's
episode?
a content warning on a Ruby episode, I have heart palpitations. I'm like, oh god.
I know. When I was like, oh, when I realized it was like, oh, it's just these suicidal pieces of paper, like
it seems silly. I mean, in hindsight.
And especially the other thing is too, is they present the information in such a cute way.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but it's actually really fucked up. Whereas like it's literally
it's
really
a village. Terrible. But because the people pleasers are like, we don't want to displease you, but we really want to go to the tree so we can die. It's like it's like, oh, these poor little things. Wait, hold on. What did they say?
Especially when we were seeing that scene, and it's like one of them with the scissors was when I was like, because I was like, they're.
It's very dark. But it seems silly because they're so cute and like innocent and these lovely little creatures, and they just so desperately want to die. And Jean, and it's like big meanie Jean, he won't let us die.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
It's so fucked up.
It's so fucked up. Like it's such a lighthearted moment, but it's also so fucking serious.
You feel so sorry for them, and it's like Yang says, that's so sad. Weird, but sad.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know how to feel about the fact that I'm like, I see why he's doing what he's doing, but it's wrong? Question mark? It's like, I don't know how to feel about it. But like, it's clearly, I mean, at the end of the day, it was what they wanted and what they were desperately trying to achieve, and he was just barring them at every turn.
And that became his purpose as well.
Yeah.
Like, which I also think it's an interesting thing that leads me into a theory that I don't think is correct, but it's a theory I had. Is, and I kind of partially just added this first part onto it the more I was thinking about it, is when Alex met with Herb, she came out changed. And I can't help but wonder if maybe that made her partly after it. And like, that's why she then like couldn't leave, because she needed to fulfill her purpose. Like, she was like given a purpose kind of in that way.
Yes, interesting.
I know, but it leads into that when she tried to leave, the tree ascended her, and I kind of wonder if she became Juniper because she had the little rabbit pin on her
that's a
belt.
Good point.
And so I'm like, and then it was Juniper that led Jean to the paper pleasers. And now Jean has this like purpose, and you know, like it did, or well,
sorry,
you're not wrong. But I can't help but wonder if like Juniper / maybe Alex has to help heal Jean after trying to kill Jean, maybe. I also did kind of initially wonder, I was like, oh shit, like, did Jean die there in ascend? Like,
that's what I was wondering, because she poisoned him, and I think he says that the paper pleasers were the ones who nursed him to health. Was that it, or did I misread that?
I all he said was that Juniper brought him to the paper pleasers after all of that. After he was poisoned. So,
but I'm like, did he die when he was poisoned? Has he been ascended?
Yeah, that was the thing I had questions about.
Were the paper pleasers actually his new purpose? Like,
yeah, but the only thing that makes me not think that he's ascended is that there was kind of an element of ascension that I feel like they've established pretty well, that you lose your memories
Yeah.
when you ascend.
And you don't get spat out the same person either. And he's very
Yeah.
clearly
So
still
he,
himself.
yeah, he's missing a couple of screws, but
Yeah,
he's
he's
still
missing a
Jean with
whole
all of his
box of
memories.
screws, but he's still him.
Yeah. So that's why I do wonder about the poison as well, because I'm
Mm.
like, it seemed like the implication was is that she just needed Jean out of the way to, because he kept interfering. He was trying to get the story back on track, and she just was, very paranoid, and she wanted to do her own thing, and she needed to get out of the ever after.
Yeah.
So, and Jean was getting in the way, so she went, here you go. And it could have just been like, basically that she like roofied him, and he,
Essentially, yeah.
and he woke up 2 days later, and by then she was gone, you know. But I did kind of wonder. I'm like, but when I hear the word poison, I generally think die. So
Especially when they're like describing Alex the way that they are, that how like ruthless she was, and she just wanted to get out, and she wouldn't stop anyone from getting in her way.
yeah,
She wouldn't.
nothing would get in her way. Yeah,
I didn't formulate the sentence correctly, but you know what I'm saying.
yeah.
But so I'm like, why wouldn't she just poison him to death?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little suspicious,
I mean,
and I don't like the way they just skipped over it either. I'm like, am I fixating on this too much, or is there
I think
more
we
to
are.
this than they're letting on?
Here's the thing. I also do wonder if there is, because the way that Jean said it, he almost seemed like he was quoting the book.
Yeah.
The rusted knight drank the poison for her.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't help but wonder if there isn't an element from the story where there was like there was something about this poison that, it wasn't actually going to kill you, it was going to make you go crazy or blah blah blah, or, and that you I don't know. But again, I'm not going to read The Girl Who Fell Through the World until after
Yeah.
volume 9. So, but that is a thing where I'm like, I'm wondering if the answer to our question is actually in the fairy tale.
Might be.
Because I don't know, it feels kind of unresolved in that way, but at the same time, I did feel like Jean was quoting the story, so like maybe there is an element of it that we should know
Yeah.
if we'd read it. So, I don't know.
Very interesting.
Yes.
Also,
Yes.
before I lose this thought, I feel like the paper pleasers drowning themselves is probably one of the less disturbing ways that could have.
Oh my god.
Because I feel like it would have been visually more disturbing if, for example, they all got lit on fire.
Yeah, like the ways that we heard that they wanted to die were like lighting themselves on fire, blowing away in the wind,
cutting
cutting
themselves
themselves
in half,
into pieces,
crashing themselves with rocks.
getting struck by lightning. Like,
God, it's so morbid, but it's kind of funny.
let me see. Were there any other? Because I
There
wrote
was a lot.
down his thing. Oh, there were also on his list there were crows that would come and peck at them if
Oh
they
my
didn't have
God.
scarecrows up. So that was another one. Yeah, I think those were the only ones.
It was
Oh,
so
there was
sad
also
though.
oh wait, no, there were two more. There was Stop the Unfolding was on his list. And it, in parentheses, you'll know it when you see it.
I haven't actually read it.
And another one was all capital, Stop the Goose. So, and these are daily occurrences.
I need to know more about the goose.
I'm
big unanswered question.
I fully believe it is an Untitled Goose Game reference. Like, fully.
Must be. I haven't played it,
Also,
so I wouldn't know.
Also, Paper Pleasers are definitely a reference to Papers, Please, right?
Yes, yeah.
Like, I literally, the second I heard it, I was like, glory to our Stotska. Like,
oh my gosh. I never even thought about that until now. It definitely is a reference to Papers, Please and Untitled Goose Game. Stop the goose. Like, what was the goose doing? Why was the goose a threat to the Paper Pleases? I have so many questions! The unfolding. I mean, I can visualize what that must have been.
Also, that's even fucked up when you think about it as well, is they're like trying to flay themselves, essentially.
Oh
like,
my god! They're trying to fucking... Oh my gosh. It's so terrible. And I'm like, it was so disturbing, like, seeing them just, like, flood themselves, essentially, and, like...
And they were like, wee!
Wee! Bye-bye!
As they're dissolving,
so
like...
sad! But I'm like, there are so many more visually disturbing ways this could have gone down. I feel like flooding was probably the least terrible option.
Terrible.
Except for maybe blowing away in the wind, but, like...
Yeah.
I love that he's, like, giving them all rocks to hold on to so they don't blow away.
Yeah, that one was Ren.
Oh, that's so funny. Wait until you guys need Neptune. Yeah, I can only imagine what Neptune is like.
Yeah, well, Neptune, he said, was the clumsiest one, and on his list, because again, I had to read the list. One of his specific points was take scissors from Neptune.
So Neptune's the instigator of the great snippeting.
Yeah, like...
It's so dark.
There was also... One of the weirdest ones on his list is help Pyrrha with her homework.
Help Pyrrha with her homework. Oh.
So I know, cute. It was so cute.
Oh my gosh, and it's so sad. My dude needed somebody to talk to that wasn't enough.
There was also... Another one was... Ruby will help rebuild scarecrows. That was another thing that was on his list. I was like, "Aww."
I love that bit where the little red one hobbles up and is like, "I'm the one called Ruby," and Blake's face turns like grey, and Yang's like, "Hate that."
Yeah.
It's so disturbing and so cute all at the same time that, like, he named all these little adorable creatures after all of his friends. But it's, like, also really fucking disturbing. It's
also, like, no wonder he couldn't let these people go. Yeah. Like...
He named them after everybody he lost.
Yeah, why would he let Neptune cut himself to bits, you know? Like... Well, why would he want Ren to fly away in the wind?
I feel like Neptune is probably the least of his concerns, but... The only interaction he's ever had with Neptune was about Weiss, and that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it's true.
But,
Speaking of Weiss and Jean, jumping back to episode 6, she's into him.
Mature.
When did you get so mature?
I love the way Blake and Yang look at her like, really? Really, bitch?
Yeah, they're like, really? And Ruby's just kind of like, ew.
Ruby's just there.
Also, we did get confirmation that the theory going around that Ruby was replaced by a neoclone, not true.
Not true. 100% not true. We were way off with that.
100% not true, because Little is still hanging out in her hood.
Also, we saw Neo, so...
We also saw
Neo, even though she was an illusion, but... Yeah, definitely not true. Poor Ruby.
Yeah. Poor Ruby, indeed.
I feel bad for her. I felt really bad that John went off on her, because, like, yeah, he's gone through his own shit, and, like, he's obviously been by himself all of this time and is just generally struggling. But...
Yeah. Especially also, like, his purpose for the last, 20-odd years just failed.
Yeah.
Flooded. Died.
But, like, she's, finally getting the opportunity to be like, what about me? Like, nobody ever gives a shit about how I feel, and, like, nobody's ever checking to make sure I'm okay. And then for him to turn around and be like, but it's always about you, when it's like, is it though?
Yeah.
Is it? I don't think that's what she's saying, dude. I think she's saying she needs a hug. you know?
Yeah.
Like, she's always got to be the one to hold everything together and to look out for everyone else, but no one's looking out for her.
Yeah. Especially like in a moment where she's like, nobody cares about me. And his thing is, in his response is, no, everything is your fault. It's like, that's the worst thing that you
That
could
is
have said
literally
right
the
there.
opposite of what you should be saying right now. Yeah, I mean, she's got a point. He does as well, but it's like,
Yeah.
there's only so much a person can take before they snap. And Ruby
Yeah.
definitely just snapped. And it's been a long time coming.
hmm Especially like rewatching this episode, like, and Ruby didn't sleep, so like, I get really grumpy when I don't sleep, so like,
Same.
I can't imagine her.
I'm
So
grumpy when I have slept. Like, I got 12 hours of sleep. I'm still angry. It's not enough. Put me back.
Send me back.
Yeah, literally.
Um, but throughout the entire episode, she's just like stewing, like,
Yeah.
especially like even during the conversation with the paper pleaser that I think was Blake, the
Yeah,
one that was
probably
served
Blake.
them tea.
Yeah.
Um, and talking with that paper pleaser, talking about all of them wanting to die and stuff. Like,
Oh, you know what? I don't think it is Blake because it was voiced by CL Soleil
oh, I
in the
didn't know
credits. Yeah,
that.
the one that serves them brunch has is the I've forgotten her name, but the VA who voiced CL Soleil voices that paper pleaser.
Oh,
I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but yeah.
yeah, probably not. But that's just the one that everyone's like, it's purple, so it's
He never
Blake.
even met CL, so
Yeah, it's true.
not that we know of, anywho.
Not that we know of. Yeah.
She was there for like 5 seconds and then she disappeared
Yeah.
forever.
But oh yeah, like Ruby looks really uncomfortable and like angry every time they talk about wanting to die, and like especially they want, like, there was a line about wanting to go home,
Mm-hmm.
and like Ruby like cringed at that. And so I'm kind of it's like, I don't think Ruby wants to get out of the ever after
I
right
don't
now.
blame her because she knows what's waiting for her on the other side. And it's much
hmm
worse than anything that's going on here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to leave either if I was her. I'd be like, you know what?
It
I'm good. You guys go back. You sort out Salem. I'm good. I'm going to stay here. I'm good.
Well, that's actually the thing, is that the lyrics to the song that plays during the
I can never
fight
hear the
in
lyrics because the
episode
fight's
7.
always too loud.
I no, only reason I know the lyrics is because Casey posts them the day of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
So I read the things, and it's all about like, you guys don't see me anymore. You guys don't need me anymore. I'm invisible. Bad things happen around me. Like,
Yeah.
what if I just stopped? Kind of a thing. Like, that's the whole thing with that song. So it's like, I'm like, this is Ruby's feelings. Like, she's like, y'all don't need me. I'm gonna stay. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna bite that bullet, and I'm gonna go like grab a new weapon from the blacksmith lady, and I'm gonna stay in the ever after. Like,
I wonder if she will actually do that. Because now
I
she's
don't
on her
know.
own. Now there's not really anything to inhibit her from starting down a path she shouldn't be starting down.
She still has little.
She still has little, but little's little, so
Yeah.
what really can they do to, stop her from doing something she's gonna regret?
Well, Little's gotta step up. Find your purpose, Little. Stop Ruby, please.
My purpose is to stop Ruby from doing something dumb.
Yeah.
Ow. Oh. Again, had a thought, lost it. It's gone. Got distracted by the stay healthy bot popping up. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Ruby being on her own now presents a whole other sort of problem in and of itself, because now it's exacerbated the problem that's already occurring, in that now the other guys have, instead of going and figuring out how to get out of here, now they gotta go look for Ruby.
Yeah.
Because obviously they can't just leave her on her own out there. They gotta go get her.
Mm-hmm.
But
and Neo is still hunting
Neo
her.
is still hunting for her. Yeah. Is hell bent on ending her life, and has an army of
almost got
Jabberwockers to do
her.
it. So,
Almost got her too.
Yeah.
Like,
oh man, I felt so bad for Ruby. Just the PTSD this poor child must be suffering.
a lot of people are debating, was Neo actually changing the Jabberwocker's face to those people? Or was that all PTSD allude?
I think it was internal. It certainly seemed that way.
I know that at least after the faces, it was definitely an internal thing, but people are like, but was she like fucking with her? I kind of initially was like, oh yeah, Neo was changing the Jabberwocker's face to like really fuck with Ruby, and then the more I thought about it, I was like, no,
I think
I
that's
don't think
happening
so.
in Ruby's head.
Yeah, I think Ruby's just losing it.
She is big time losing it. Yeah, I mean, she's been through a lot and has not had a single second to stop and process any of it.
I saw a thing where that's like the last, like, from like the second half of Volume 7 onwards has been over the course of like
2 weeks,
4 or 5 days, like maybe 6 or 7 at this point.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know how long exactly they've been in the Ever After. It's not been very long.
It's been days. Like, it's been
it's
less
been like
than a week.
It's been like maybe 3 days, in the Ever After, and then Volume 8 was over the course of like 3 days, 3-4 days, and then there was all the stuff at the end of Volume 7 was like over the course of one night. So like it's been like a really fucking bad week for Ruby.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too how like the 4 of them, and also by extension Jean, Nora, and Ren, Yang, Weiss, and Blake have all had an opportunity to overcome their biggest hurdle, mentally and emotionally, physically. Blake's was Adam. And Yang's was losing her
it was
arm.
also kind of her running away thing as well.
Yeah, her
like
that was by extension
like,
from Adam, though. Adam was the source
I kind of feel like
that.
Volume 5 was like Blake's really big growth moment. Yeah. I don't necessarily think killing Adam in 6 was her big growth moment. I feel like Volume 5
I don't mean killing him.
Was.
I mean like he was her obstruction. He was her biggest hurdle.
I guess in Volume 5 too, she kind of let him go in a way where she's like, I don't need him to deal with him anymore. Like, there are bigger fish to fry.
Overcome the trauma that he had put her through, and the responses that she had because of that. And she only ran in the first place because of what Adam had done to Yang, and she was terrified that it would happen again, and next time it would be worse. So the source of all of her conflict came from him, and so she had the opportunity to overcome all of that. Yang's was losing her arm. That was her largest hurdle. And then Weiss's was her family and her inheritance. And so all 3 of them have had an opportunity to confront that hurdle and overcome it, whereas Ruby hasn't. She didn't have a moment to recover from Beacon, really. She didn't have a moment to process finding out what happened to her mother, or the death of her mother, because she was so little when it happened. She didn't have a minute to process the loss of Penny and Pyrrha, and then the loss of Penny again now. She hasn't had a second to process all of the information they've just been bombarded with from Jean. She hasn't had time to process any of this. And like, it's all just built up and built up and built up for her, because she's the one that everyone looks to. She's always the one with the plan, always the one who has to lead, always the one who has to pull everyone together. And there's only so far a person can go doing that before they just completely fucking lose their shit.
Especially also, I kind of feel like both her and Jean at the same time, like both of them are suffering with the same conflict,
Yeah.
just very differently. Um, in that they both want to be the hero. It's just Ruby's perspective of it is what that image of a hero actually is, you know? And Jean's is more of like what a hero does, I feel like.
In very different ways, they are both suffering from major um, identity loss, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Loss of identity, struggling with their self-image and self-doubt as well. Because
Mm-hmm.
Ruby's struggle right now is being like, and it has been a recurring struggle for her that like this is not what she thought being a huntress was going to be like at all. She thought it
Mm-hmm.
was going to be like the books that she read as a child, and then she very quickly learned that that's not what it was. Um,
Yeah.
and she's
On top of also
continuing
her like silver eyes as
yeah,
well, like she's
having all of
quite
that
literally
shit dumped on
born
her.
to be a hero,
Yeah.
and you know, not to mention learning everything that she did about her mom,
Mm-hmm.
and then also everything with the Hound as well.
Yep.
This like look into what her future could be like if Cinder or Salem got her hands on her, like.
Yep.
Ugh.
I mean, yeah, and in the same way, Jean's struggle is very similar, but just in a different way. And in chapter 7, I was brought back to that conversation he and Ruby had in volume 1, where he was, he was lamenting that he felt like a failure, and she was
Mhm.
telling him, "You're a leader now. You're not allowed to be a failure." And
Mhm.
I wonder how much those words have stuck with Jean over all of this time. That like the reason he is so hard on himself when he fails is because he feels like he can't, like he's not allowed to fail.
Mhm.
And that's kind of all he's done.
Yeah.
There has
Yeah.
been a lot of triumph for him as well, but also a lot of pretty major failure, or at
Mhm.
least perceived failure on his part.
Yeah. Which also, that was another thing in episode 6 that they talked about that I enjoyed, with Team Ruby being filled in on, the full ending of what happened at Atlas.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like, the fact that Salem is now in possession of two relics, still has the Fall Maiden power for Beacon's relic. So she's literally like one relic away from ending the world.
Yeah.
I mean, she still has to get Beacons, but and like Blake has they're all being like, we failed. Our plan to keep the relics out of her hands it failed, which I feel like one thing I was annoyed about is they brought up Ironwood when Ruby said that, like, if she gets all four relics, what does it matter? She's gonna end the world anyway. And Yang's like, that's how Ironwood thought. And I'm like, are y'all forgetting that half the reason you went forward with this plan is that Ironwood was also hunting you guys?
Yeah.
Like, it was, you were caught between this person wants the relic to do this awful thing, and this person wants this relic to do this awful thing.
Yeah,
So let's
exactly.
take the relic and do a less awful thing.
Yeah.
And I really like that Blake pointed out we saved so many people.
Yeah.
Like, yes, in the end, their objective to keep the relics out of Salem's hands failed. But Atlas and Mantle weren't, the people of Atlas and Mantle weren't utterly obliterated in the process.
Yeah.
Like,
At the end of the day, they did save thousands of lives, and as like Blake says, that has to count for something. It does count for something.
mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I see. The thing is, I've always seen where Ironwood was coming from, but the
Yeah,
problem I had was with his lack of moral compass, first of all, and
yeah.
also his approach to
Hmm.
solving problems. Making them worse is what I call it.
Yeah.
But I always appreciated where he was coming from, but it was his method that was the problem. And so again, I appreciate what Ruby's saying is that, like, what's the point in saving lives if it's just delaying the inevitable? And it's like, that's not the point, though. The point
Yeah.
is not to just give up because it's hopeless or because it seems hopeless. The point is to fight back as much as you can and thwart Salem at every turn as much as you can. And yes, she has 2 relics, but there's still 2 others she has yet to acquire.
Yeah. She also is only in possession of
yet.
one maiden's powers. You know? Like, they still have 2 maidens on their side.
Yeah.
3, I guess. We don't know anything about the Summer... Yeah, maiden. But I would guess that she's also on their side, so, like...
Should be in Vacuo somewhere, I assume, at this point in time. Yeah, and they know that for a fact as well, because Jean saw Winter using the maiden powers, so he knows that Winter has the Winter maiden powers.
Didn't Weiss as well? Yeah, Weiss would have as well, because Weiss knew about
probably,
Penny.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly the sequence. I don't really want to go back and watch those episodes, so...
Yeah.
I don't really want to relive all that, thank you, but, maybe? I don't remember, to be perfectly honest.
I'm pretty sure, because Weiss knows what happened to
Winter
Penny.
saw Weiss fall, I know that much.
And Winter, yeah. And because all Winter did was, once Winter had the powers, is she went by Ironwood and flew into the portal.
Winter saw Weiss fall, and Weiss fell after Jean killed Penny. So she must be aware of that. Yeah. But yeah, now they know the full story of what happened in the... I don't know what
with the fall of Atlas,
the Bridges realm, that thing. So they know as much as they could possibly know about what's happened. The only thing that eludes them now is what happened to everyone was they got through to Vacuo, which, like, we don't even know that.
We don't even know.
We know that they're in the middle of the desert, but that's all we know.
We know they're in the middle of the desert, and the Grimm are there, and Winter's fucking them up.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
I'm so curious what kind of chaos they're going to get spat back out into once they do eventually leave.
That's another really big discussion people have is, when are Alex and Lewis from? Because, we know that, we estimate Jean's been here 10 to 20 years based on what Carrie said, But still, given that, this story is not only 10 to 20 years old.
No, it's time. So we don't know how perpendicular time in the Ever After is to time on Remnant. Yeah.
So it is kind of a thing where, it does make me nervous if the girls are going to get, spat out a couple years in the future, because
I still think that's going to happen, just purely because
progressing.
Plot-wise it would be so incredibly interesting. But also, what kind of absolute utter chaos would they get spat out into if that was the case?
Yeah.
Is Salem going to have already acquired the 3rd relic by the time they get spat out? I doubt it, but, like...
I doubt it, because there would kind of be speed running an entire arc of the show that we just don't get to see.
Well,
I mean, listen, it is a thing where, like...
They might have to speed run to the finish line here.
Yeah, the show is... The show's future is kind of up
very
in the air, which
uncertain, yeah.
I hate so much, because I'm like, wait, but we're so close, like...
I know. I hate that that is the case, but at the same time, Rooster Teeth kind of shot themselves in the foot with that. But
yeah. Well, I mean, it's a lot of Warner's issue. Warner just doesn't seem to have much interest in animated projects anymore. So, like...
Yeah.
Ugh.
I mean, I feel, at this point in time, I feel like if Volume 10 does get greenlit, it will be the last volume. I feel like that it would be very, very, very foolish for them not to plan for that to be the case.
Yeah.
Just because even like trying to get Volume 10 greenlit is not a certain thing. it would be devastating for the show to end with this volume, because we are so close to, like, the end. Not being able to see how it's supposed to end would be devastating, but also I would prefer that they do a volume 10 and rush to the finish line than not finish it at all, to be perfectly honest.
I mean, I don't know.
Because they could make it work.
They could. I just am like, you know, I'm like, how much would they have to sacrifice to make that happen? And like, I don't know.
I feel like
I've seen shows do speed runs before.
I mean, and
granted,
time,
I don't think it'll be Game of Thrones level of speed run.
Game of Thrones speed run was by their own choice. They didn't have to sprint to the finish line, and they chose to. Yeah. But in this case, if they were forced to make Volume 10 the last volume, they do have the opportunity to make it longer, take more time to produce it, make it as good as they possibly can, considering having to end the show possibly earlier than they had anticipated. They could make it work. Mean,
I don't know if they would necessarily be given as much time as they need to make it, because, you know, like, paying for a group of animators for that long is kind of the whole, like, reason that animation is so...
I mean, they let them take 2 years to make Volume 9, so...
It's true.
If they spent 2 years making Volume 10, they could spit out something of equally good quality as this.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, they could make it work if 10 had to be the last one, and I think it would just be very unwise to not plan for that being the case.
Unless they somehow convince Warner, like, hey, can we get 2 more seasons? And they go, sure.
I don't see that happening.
I don't see it happening either, but let me hope. They'll give us 17 more seasons.
Here's the thing. I don't feel like the show has any more than 2 seasons left. And they could squeeze it into 1 if they had to.
I've always, for the longest time, I've been like, we're getting 11 seasons. Especially just, I think, like, it was even based on
number 11.
I feel like it was based on a comment that Monty said back in the day.
I think originally he said 9.
He said...
And then...
Well, was it originally 9? I thought he said it was originally 10, and then Volume 2 ended up being split between 2 and 3, so then it became...
Yeah, no,
11.
Originally it was 9 because he planned on 3 3-volume arcs, but then that got extended, because they were fleshing it out a bit more. So then I think he was saying 10 or 11. And now that we're here, it's looking like it's probably going to be 10. And there's a very slim chance that we would get an 11th season if they didn't decide to end it with the 10th one.
Yeah.
Which, like, it would be so much worse if we got a 10th season and they didn't wrap it up and then it got cancelled than if it got cancelled with Volume 9. That would be so much worse. So I'm almost like, if you get greenlit for 10, end it. End it, because I would rather that it ends than, like, we get this close and never see the conclusion.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, man.
I would rather a rushed conclusion than no conclusion at all. It's worse to not know the ending.
I mean, the thing is where it's like, even... Oh, fuck. I would be excited... well, okay. I'm not going to say I would be excited. I would be intrigued to see people's theories if Volume 10 doesn't get greenlit and they, like, make their own, here's how the rest of the story would go kind of thing. Because, like, people in the RWBY fandom are always rewriting the show anyway. Because they're like, you know, they think that they're better than... Oh, that says we're chatting episode 1. We are, in fact, chatting episode 6 and 7.
Whoops, haven't changed that since the first podcast, I don't think. My bad.
I don't think so. But,
where's my ampersand?
Oh yeah, people are always like, I could write a better show and blah blah blah, and I'm like, well, could we, like...
And they definitely
maybe
can't.
Could we, like, use that energy to just, like, finish the show?
Yeah, could we? Maybe. Let's just get the fans on board. We'll help.
Yeah.
Need a voice actor? I'm there.
I know. Literally, I will do it for free.
I will. Yeah.
You need someone to scream. I'll do it.
I will pay you to be on the show. Yeah, I mean, I feel it in my gut that Volume 10 will be the last volume, if it even gets greenlit.
Yeah,
Because
I'm just
it's
so
not
nervous about it even
looking
getting.
great right now.
Listen, I have so much hope though because of the bees. The bees have brought in the lesbians have flocked to Ruby.
Yep.
So I'm
This is
like,
officially a women loving women canon show now. Come over,
so I'm
lesbians.
like, lesbians,
Help us greenlight the
save
next
our
one.
show.
Lesbians, please help. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's just how I feel. I feel like if they were to be like, okay, we're making volume 10, but it's not going to be the last one, I'd be like, that's not a good idea.
I mean, I kind of agree with you. I just am like, but it would be such a shame.
I
Like,
know, it's a shame. It would be a shame for them to have to end the show not on their own terms, but I still would prefer that over not getting to see the ending after all of the time and emotion I have invested into this fucking series. I would be livid if I never got to see the end. Absolutely livid. Because, like, nothing I can dream up in my head would ever be as, like, satisfying as getting to see the actual ending.
Especially because like there have been so many theories about how the show was going to end for years, and it's like the big questions of are the four girls going to become the four maidens, and
I just don't want to like theorize too much about the ending because every time I get a clear idea of what I want an ending to be in my head and it's nothing like that, it's disappointing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, for this show especially,
I need to know where the beacon relic is. Where is it?
For this show especially, I don't want to go too overboard of like, this is how the show's going to end, because I don't have a fucking clue how it's going to end. But I have enough faith in the team at this point that they could write a satisfying conclusion. I would prefer to see their conclusion than not see a conclusion at all, even if it's a rushed one.
I also want to see Ruby kill Kevin.
The dragon?
Is that the name of the dragon?
Yes, the Grim Dragon. Kevin. Yes, I think it's Kevin. Yeah. Because Lenny's the Leviathan. Yes. Was the Leviathan.
Yes, he did die. I was like, didn't she just stone him? But then Cordovan.
Didn't she just stone him? Fuck you, Lenny. Did he die? That's a good question.
Yeah, because Cordovan, then when he started to break out of the stone, Cordovan went, hi-ya!
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And then they blew up Monstra, so.
God, that feels like a lifetime ago at this point.
I know.
It was volume 6. It was only 3 volumes ago. Feels like a fucking other lifetime. Oh my gosh, just the Atlas arc. So much has happened.
I know. It's just... That's why I'm like, I want a proper Vacuo arc. Especially because that's the other thing I'm terrified, is if we only get a volume 10, please still give the girls new outfits. Please. Please do. Like, give them their ultimate huntress outfits or something. Like,
they have to. I mean, they're gonna go from where they are to the desert. They're gonna have to. I mean, they have to have new outfits. They can't wear what they're wearing in the desert. They'll die from heat stroke. I have this image in my head of like the ending of volume 9. I have this image in my head of them like popping out of Ever After, however that's going to happen, whether it's through a portal or what. And just...
They mentioned a doorway.
Yeah. I have this image in my head of them popping out and seeing Ren and Nora, but Ren and Nora don't look how they remember Ren and Nora looking. And Oscar as well. But mostly Ren and Nora. And like, it being obvious that some time has passed.
Yeah.
And then I just have that image in my head of like, this volume's going to end on a huge fucking cliffhanger, which will make it all the more annoying if they didn't make a 10th one.
It's going to be a
massive cliffhanger.
Like, it's going to be us seeing Vacuo. I was trying to think if the city had a name, but it's Vacuo.
It's just Vacuo.
It's gonna be us seeing it in whatever state it's in.
Imagine if they popped out and Vacuum's in ruins.
Oh my
And it's
god, I hope
overrun with
not.
Grimm. Oh my
That would
god. There are
that
so
would be the
many
worst.
things running through my brain of like how this volume's gonna end because I so badly want them to time skip. I don't know why, I just think it's so interesting.
I think that it is more likely for there to be a time skip. I'm just like unsure how intense the time skip will be.
Mm.
I'm also still like unsure about Jean
Well, here's the thing.
escaping
I
in any
don't
way.
want them to age Jean back down, and it's not going to matter even if they don't, because he's going to die anyway. So
Yeah.
Jean is not making it to the end of this story. He's been marked for death from the beginning, but like it's just pure beat him to it. I really want Ren and Nora to live and go be happy and have adorable babies someday. So I'm like, if if I want that for them, I feel like it makes sense for Jean not to survive, especially now that they've aged him up 20 years. Because now it's weird. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm just like all of Team Juniper has been marked for death from the very beginning
Ren and
because
Nora have to be an adorable couple and have cute, very angry redheaded babies.
it's true. But like also all of them are famous martyrs.
Anything bad to happen to Ren and Nora.
I don't want anything bad to happen to them either.
Like that would be the most annoying thing about any of them, but
I'm like they just in volume 8 they ended in such a good place that I'm like I need to see them. That's why I need volume 10 is I'm like I need all my couples to be couples like cuz Blake and Yang are not going to have time to do like really anything in these last 3 episodes. Like there's, we're not going to get that many cute Bumblebee moments. So like what I need a volume 10 so I can see those cute
Somebody
moments.
has to get their happy ending. Someone has to.
I saw so many people talking about on like, after the Bumblebee kiss that like, Sun woke up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat being like, it happened. Like
he felt a disturbance in the force.
He felt a disturbance. And oh god, there was another one. Nope, not Ilya, maybe? I think Ilya was another one where people were like, she would have like felt a shift in the universe when they kissed. And then another one was like, oh, and imagine Coco. Like Coco like woke up with her nose bleeding and she was like
lesbian of them all.
Yeah. And so I was just like, oh man, I want to know what's happening in Vacuo.
It's so up in the air with like all of these characters that we're expecting to see back in the Vacuo arc, which will probably be 1 volume. But because most of their VAs don't work at Rooster Teeth anymore.
it is true where it's like
Glinda's doesn't, Ports doesn't, Ublex doesn't, Coco doesn't, Ciel doesn't. Like,
I mean,
so many.
But they're not on. I say the difference is that like those first 3 listed, they're not on good terms with those voice actors anymore.
It's true,
but like
Ashley lives on the other side of the country, doesn't she now?
She lives in Australia now, I'm pretty sure.
Oh fuck! I didn't know they moved to Australia.
I think they moved to Australia.
So the other side of the world, even worse.
Yeah, but I mean, they could just, run a couple lines. She could run her lines from there.
Sure. She doesn't have to speak. She can just stand there and look pretty.
Yeah. Honestly, all we need is Velvet.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, if they brought the professors from Beacon back, they're gonna have to recast them.
Yeah, I mean they already had to recast.
They have to recast all fucking 3 of them.
They had to recast Torchwick. Oh, Torch. Yes, Torchwood is for Queendom.
Oh, of course. Yeah, sorry. Oh, yeah. That one doesn't work there anymore either.
Yeah.
Good lord.
So, like, I wonder if any of the other professors got. I never watched Queendom.
I don't
But I wonder
know.
if any of
I
the other
haven't seen it,
professors got
so
new voice
Glinda's
actors as
in it. I know
well.
that much. So I don't know. She must have a different voice actress then, because she's
Just
definitely in
gonna
it. I don't know if she speaks
at the
though.
wiki. Tiana Kemocho.
Who is that? Is
Um,
that the English VA?
yeah, the English VA. Oh, and of course she's also voicing Glinda in the Justice League Ruby crossover movie.
Right, I forgot that's a thing. That looks like
Mm-hmm.
utter garbage, that film. If I'm perfectly honest. Not
I'm
something I'm interested in.
intrigued. Also, I will probably support it just because it is Ruby, and I will anything for Volume 10, please. 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 Um, yeah, Glinda's the only professor that was confirmed to be in it.
I haven't seen it personally. I was planning
Well,
on watching it.
that movie's that mo wait, Queendom or the Justice League? Because I
Queendom.
don't think the Justice
I'm
League
planning
thing
on
is out
watching
yet.
Queendom after Volume 9 ends. But yeah.
I'm debating if I'm gonna do reactions to it after
Well, from what I've
the volume.
heard, Queendom is really good for like the first 3 episodes, and then the quality takes a massive nosedive after
Yeah,
that.
that's kind of what I've heard as well.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate. I really don't like it when anime especially does that, where like the first few episodes the quality is excellent and it sets this really high bar, but then in order to bring down the budget and the amount of time it takes to produce it, they just drop the quality significantly. And I'm like, why do you do that? I'm not going to keep watching it just because I watched 3 episodes. If it's shit, I'm going to stop watching. Like, it's kind of what I did with Attack on Titan. I was like, I've watched 3 seasons of this show. It's so good, and like it has maintained such a high quality. And then season 4 happened, and I was like, what the fuck is that? And I stopped watching because it was crap, in my opinion. There are a lot of people who liked season 4. I did not. I was not one of those people. It was boring as fuck. Anyway, tangents. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, so I was just looking at the other two, and Oobleck wasn't replaced.
Yeah,
But
he wasn't in
apparently
it.
the last thing he voiced in before Joel left the company was Neon Kobeni, where they did that like Ruby Chibi segment thing.
Oh.
But that was recorded before he left the company. And then they did release, when they re-released Grim Eclipse for the Switch, they replaced Port's voice with a new guy. So Port has a new voice.
I really
as well.
wish they would update the PC Grim Eclipse to have that new voice. I don't know why they didn't do that.
I don't actually know why. That seems like something they should have done.
They should have, but they didn't. Yeah, they kind of just abandoned the game, which I'm like, that's kind of sad because it had so much potential, and then they just didn't really do anything with it.
Oh. They gave it one big update, and it was like, "Yay! Please keep supporting it." And they were like, "Nope, that was it." And it was like, "Damn it."
I mean, RT Games went under.
Yeah.
But,
that's the bad part about it.
I mean, Vicious Circle kind of killed RT Games pretty fucking hard there.
Yeah, they just went way too all in on it. And Vicious Circle wasn't terrible.
Free to play. They tried to charge for it. $25 it was when it came out, and people were like, I'm not paying that. I paid for it, but then they made it free to play, but by then it was too late. People had lost interest.
Yeah.
And it was like not even 3 weeks into the game's release, and we couldn't get matches anymore.
Yeah.
Because no one was playing it. Which was a shame, because it was actually quite a fun game, but also there just wasn't enough to it right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like, we got bored with it fairly quickly, because there was just the one game type and like 3 maps, and they didn't update it fast enough. So, I mean, there's a whole list of reasons why that game utterly failed, but it was the death of RT games after that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Which it always baffles me how like a production company that got its start because of video games and made so much content about video games would be so shit at making video games. What is that about?
Mm-hmm.
You'd think they would have some idea about how to make at least halfway decent games. Not saying that Grim Eclipse isn't halfway decent, because it is, but it just... They just... Yeah, I mean, they just did.
It was probably upper management meddling.
Yeah,
is honestly probably what it was.
It's just baffling to me.
I never trust upper management.
Yeah, they made like 3 games and then that was it.
I really liked the Ruby card game, but like that was also incredibly niche.
The board game?
No, the online card game.
Oh,
I mean, there was
also
the board game.
Yeah. There was like a couple mobile games, yeah. But I'm not big on the mobile game scene.
Yeah, I didn't really like Amity Arena. People were... It was just one of those... It's just not my kind of game. Like, people figure out too quickly what the good strategy is, and I'm just here being like, I just want to throw my things on the field and see what happens. And then, but it's no fun when, like, 2 seconds in, you lose, and you're like, well...
Yeah. I really like the board game Combat Ready. It's quite enjoyable, but I feel like it is nowhere near as enjoyable if you don't watch the show. So it's not really something you can play if you're not familiar with Ruby.
You need a group of like 4 or 5 people who watch the show to make it.
Which, like, you try getting 4 or 5 fucking Ruby watchers together in the same room. It's next to impossible.
Yeah.
We're all online friends, RT. Didn't you get the memo? Yeah. We went way off topic there.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm looking at my notes trying to figure out. We really didn't talk like at all about the Punderstorm.
Oh yeah. So, there's really only a couple of things I want to talk about this outside of bees, so I'll start with those things. But
well, I didn't really like the Punderstorm, I'll be honest.
Why? What didn't you like about it?
I just feel like it was, like, as a narrative device, it seemed really interesting about, like, a physical manifestation of a crossroad they were at. And, like, having to make a decision.
And then they just didn't do anything with it.
And then they did nothing with it. And I was like... I was like, the point of this was to separate out. Like, I loved it, Blake and Yang's section. It was entirely for the bees' confession. Like, and they just didn't know what to do with the rest of them while the bees' confession was happening. So they were just like, eh. And I was like, no.
Yeah,
I was like, this is just... And they could have just left them somewhere to expositionize instead of setting up this, like, conflict that ended up being resolved outside of their influence. Like, I just...
I agree with you there.
I was like, I left episode 6 really kind of hollow, and it was a really weird feeling because I was like, I loved the bees' confession so much, but just everything else around the bees' confession felt really kind of underwhelming.
Yeah.
So I was just like, man, I wanted to say I loved that episode, but I just loved the bees' confession. I didn't actually really love the episode.
No, I agree with you 100%. Also, I was saying in like previous podcasts that I hadn't yet noticed in the episodes any kind of animation errors or anything that looked a bit meh that started to happen in episodes 5, 6, and 7 now, where I've been like, there've been a couple of times where I've looked at things and gone, that doesn't look quite right. Or like, that's like an odd choice. The thing that comes to mind with chapter 6 is that, and I think this was a deliberate choice, not an error, where during Blake and Yang's kiss, when it cuts to the wide, the shot freezes for it's like 3 seconds of frozen airtime, and then the lilies start to bloom and the wind starts to kick in, and then the shot pans upward. But the 3 seconds of suspended time where like no movement at all is happening on the screen is really weird looking. And it took me out of the moment quite a lot. because it
I
was
don't
too
remember that at
long.
all.
I will point it out to you after the podcast, but like after they have the close up of where they kiss, it cuts to the wide when they're standing there together, and for like almost 3 seconds, there's zero movement on the screen, and then the movement all kicks in. And I think it was a deliberate choice to make it feel like it was suspended in time, but it just ends up looking a bit weird. And I'll point it out to you later so you can see what I'm talking about.
Because I was say I don't remember that really, but
I didn't notice it the first time I watched. I noticed it on subsequent viewings that like it was far too long of a suspended shot with zero movement, and it just looks strange to the eyes. Where I'm like, I get why they chose to do it that way, but I don't think it translated that way across. It just felt like I thought the episode froze. I thought it had stopped buffering, but then I was like, oh wait, and I went back and rewound it, and I was like, oh, it's supposed to be like that. That's weird. Anyway, that's just one thing that I noticed. There's been a couple of things, like there was one shot of a side on of Ruby walking where her walking gait was really strange, and like just like little things like that I've started to pick up on that I'm like, damn it, they were doing so well.
Yeah, the only one that I've noticed was in episode 7, at the start of the fight when Weiss saves Jean with her summon, and then she like slides into frame, and it looks really strange.
It does.
And I noticed it immediately, and I was like trying to be like, is it because she's like walking while still trying to do this summoning motion, or like
it looks really weird. It's like she's a statue bizarre. And someone grabbed her legs and just went whoop. It looks really strange. I agree with you.
And it's just one of those things where I was just like, also they kind of established that, like, you know, Weiss doesn't really move while summoning, but then she doesn't move while the summoning is, well, she's like summoning, but once it's there she can like move normally, but they were acting like she was still summoning it, so I was just, it was a weird moment that
it looked strange.
It looked odd to me. That was like the only thing that I've noticed, and I noticed it immediately when I was watching episode 7, where I was like, oof.
Yeah, there's only been one or two things that I've been like, oh, that just visually looks wrong. But, like, they were doing so well. Especially like, it's been 4 episodes and I hadn't noticed anything, and then 5 happened, and I was like, oh no, I noticed something. Damn it.
Especially, it's so weird because literally every other piece of choreography in that fight scene is like impeccable.
Yeah. Well,
but it's just that one moment where I was like, whoa.
In that same fight scene, there was one other shot that felt strange to me, which was a shot of Yang like jumping down onto a Jabberwocker's head, and she punches it, and like then the shot cuts away. That felt really weird because the punch kind of felt a bit pathetic. I don't know how else to describe it, where like the impact was not as strong as it maybe should have been, and it just felt like she just went, eh! You know, like, and then the shot cuts away. I was like, that was a bit odd. I feel like she should have used her weapon, but she didn't. She just punched it in the top of the head and nothing happened, and then the shot cuts away. I was like, that was a bit weird.
It was one thing, actually. This was just not even really an animation thing necessarily, but I was just like, oh, interesting choice. Is that in that fight scene, Yang activates her semblance, and I'm like, you haven't been hit yet, girly.
No, I agree with you. She hadn't even been hit once. I'm like, isn't her semblance absorption based? Like, she can't just turn it on whenever she wants to. She has to take hits first. That's how
like
it works.
It felt like it was just a moment where they needed to give the Jabberwockers a second to get to them, and they were like, this looks flashy with, let's get Yang's hair on fire and red eyes.
Yeah, it looks cool, like, but I was also like, but that's not how it works. It's never worked like that. Not ever. So I'm like, why suddenly are they breaking the rules just to have that visually there in the shot? I was like, no.
Yeah, I was like, she had at that point maybe, like, we could maybe argue that like that first Jabberwocker, her and Blake were beating up, maybe got like a couple little hits in on her, but like nothing to really be like, okay, I know that you guys have 2 Jabberwockers approaching you right now, but there's no reason for you to be like, let's go. Like, it purely felt like an intimidation sort of thing, and I'm like, these are
It was weird.
These are Neo clones. What do you like?
Who are you trying
And
to
you know they're
intimidate?
Neo
Yeah,
clones.
exactly. No, it was a bit strange. I agree with you on that.
But
But
you know
yeah,
what? I'm all for the flashiness of it. So
sure, why
it's just
not?
it wasn't like the Weiss thing where it immediately took me out of it for a second, but I was just like when I was watching it again and I was just kind of like, why?
Yeah, I felt the same way. I was like, okay. Like, I feel like that shouldn't be happening, but alright, go off, Yang, I guess.
Mhm.
um, uh, there was another thing I was gonna say about
The
the
Thunderstorm.
thunderstorm. Oh, I noticed because obviously when they walk by the mirrors that we catch a glimpse of Summer Rose in one and then John sees Penny in another, but when Weiss is staring at the one that has Atlas in it, I noticed that the score had the same like eerie synthesizer tune that was playing at the end of the volume 8 finale when Atlas fell. It's the exact same tune on the same instrument, which I
Mm.
was like, hmm,
I mean,
I see you throwing that in there. I hear it.
yeah. I earlier today I rewatched the first two episodes of the season with Bailey because Bailey hasn't watched it yet.
There's, sorry, a
And
hair floating down from my face.
and um and I noticed that when Ruby's holding the Penny's sword after the Jinxie thing, um what's the name of the song? It was the Volume 8 credit song
Yeah,
about,
another one.
but that tune plays while Ruby's looking at it, and I was immediately like,
Let me
I
find it.
didn't know it was my first time. The feels
I know,
like
yeah, it's rude. I can't think of the name. Let me find it.
I literally was listening to it yesterday too.
Ruby,
Um,
Ruby, Ruby, Ruby. Where are
is it
we?
called like Friend
Yeah, it's
or
something like that.
something like that?
Ruby Volume 8 soundtrack. I haven't listened to the
It,
soundtrack
I
since
was
the
about to say
first time I
it's the
heard it,
only
so
song that I think the volume that and the intro are like the only
just mute
songs
this
from
so it
the.
doesn't start blaring over the stream. It's called Friend, yeah.
It is called Friend. Okay, but
Um,
yeah, the tune from that played during that, so I'm like, it's
yeah,
good to. I was like, I hadn't really been paying super close attention to the score of this volume. I'll be honest, but
I
I was like,
have.
there's a couple moments where I was like, oh, callbacks,
Yeah.
like, you know.
I definitely have been paying attention to the music because I am like looking for the differences in between how Casey is handling the music versus how Jeff handled the music in previous volumes. I'm like really tuned into it because I want to like get a feel for her like sort of style, and it is very different.
It
Um,
is different, but I like
but
it.
it's
I
very
mean,
similar in a lot of ways.
yeah.
And it still feels very much like Ruby. Obviously,
Hmm.
because she's been doing the music
Yeah.
for 8 seasons already before this. Um, but yeah, that little tune that plays when she's looking at Atlas. That's the only 2 times we've heard that particular melody. Is when Atlas fell, and then in that scene, I was like, interesting. It's just a little. It was an interesting oral callback to Atlas because that was the only other time we heard it was during the fall. And it's like at the very end of the finale when the sound starts to cut out and like Crow and the what's left of the what are they called?
Aesop's.
Aesops. I never remember what they're called. I go to call them the fables. um, when they're on the
That's
ship
their new
and the
name.
sound is completely cutting out and the last thing we hear is the water rushing in to Atlas is when that tune is playing, like as the sound cuts out, that's all we hear is that like synthesized sort of melody.
That was one thing about that moment with like Summer being Ruby's reflection
Mm.
in the mirrors. I'm like, it's kind of weird to me because I don't know. I'm trying to figure out like Ruby's whole deal this volume, and like clearly Summer is a big part of it. But like, with us seeing Weiss seeing the fall of Atlas, it's obviously, and she's talked about her, struggles with, making that choice, and she destroyed her home,
Yeah.
and how she regrets that, and then like Jean sees Penny, and then later he's seeing his younger self. Um, and obviously he has like regrets and stuff about that. But I'm like, but so if we're going with like regrets or fears or like what is Summer doing
I
with
think it's
Ruby?
I think it's multi-layered for Ruby because when we
Especially the
first
other thing too is specifically because it's her reflection.
mm,
It like the others weren't, they were images, not reflections
yeah.
necessarily.
Mm-hmm. I think it's multi-layered because when we first meet Ruby, she talks about wanting to be like the heroes in the books. I think it was deeper than that for her. I don't think she wanted to be like the heroes in the books. I think she wanted to be like her mother because her
Hmm.
mother was her biggest hero. And like she was a huntress and she had silver eyes and she went up against Salem and lost. Now she knows. And
Hmm.
she knows what her mother's fate was, and she came face to face with that fate through the hound. Um,
Hmm.
and so ever since she came face to face with that hound, I think in the back of her mind somewhere is this little voice that's saying that's going to happen to you. That's your fate because it happened to her mother. And knowing everything that she knows now, I feel like she's having a full-on identity crisis, because there's a part of her that wanted to be like her mother and a part of her that saw her mother as this hero who died, in service of Remnant. And now that she knows the truth, which is so much more complicated than that, she's staring her own fate in the face and it scares the shit out of her. And so I
Yeah.
think that's why we see Summer as her reflection there, is because Summer is within Ruby and that terrifies her, I think, a little bit, in that, like, she once saw her mother as, and still does see her as her biggest hero, but also now knowing that she failed, that she went up against Salem and lost, I think is scaring the absolute shit out of her, because she is literally getting a real-time reflection back at her of what will happen to her if she fails. And she is failing, and she knows that it's not like everything is falling apart, things are not going the way that she plans, and the more that things don't go the way that she plans, the more terrified she's becoming of her fate. I think that's why Summer is the main sort of symbolic thing for her, just
Yeah.
delving into the deep psychology behind it, of like, she loved her mother and her mother was a hero and she so desperately wanted to be like her, but now I think she's like, not necessarily rethinking that, but she sees it through a different lens now entirely. I also think that she would rather have not known the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I think she would have been happy to die thinking her mother died a hero. And, well, she did die a hero. Let's
Hmm.
call a spade a spade. But, like, I think she would have preferred to die not knowing exactly what happened to her.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I was just partly also wondering, especially with everything that's going on, and Ruby's kind of just, feeling hopeless about the war and blah 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 and all this stuff. And I you know I think back to the lyrics of Red Like Roses Part
I
2.
was just thinking about that.
And I know that we can't take the lyrics of the songs like super
Super
canonically,
literally, but yeah.
but like I'm going to do it anyway. And like there's a part in that where Summer is basically like, I never wanted this life for you. I didn't want you to be a huntress. And I can't help but also wonder, like, if that is something that like Summer ever maybe said to Ruby, is like, or if Ruby somehow found an old journal of Summer's and she was like, I hope Ruby never has to fight, and.
I wonder now, in hindsight, if now we know what we know about the Silver-Eyed Warriors, if that it for Summer it was deeper than I didn't want her to be a huntress. It was more that I didn't want her to be burdened with the things I was burdened with, like in
Yeah.
relation to her power, because it does
Hmm.
place an enormous pressure on Ruby's shoulders that Summer once carried, and it was the death of her. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that for Summer, she never wanted the pressures that were on her to be placed on the shoulders of her daughter, but it was inevitable. But I think too, Ruby just so desperately doesn't want to let her mother down, and she feels like she's letting her down, I think, as well. Because she idolizes her and, is not somebody she ever, like, I mean, she died when Ruby was like 3 or 4, so Ruby probably doesn't even have that many memories of her mother. It's somebody she idolizes, and somebody she never really knew. So
yeah, she knows more about her mom through like the stories Crow has told her probably than actually,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
it's very complicated for her. I think it's multi-layered.
yes.
Her feelings about
And I
her
think
mother.
I think we're also going to hear a lot about this in episode 8.
Mm-hmm.
And potentially like I'm like torn about like how much of Ruby's issues are, I don't want to say resolved in episode 8 because they're not getting resolved in episode 8.
Nope.
But I'm like how center is Ruby gonna be in episode 8? I feel like she's gonna be pretty center.
I also wanted to, just to add another layer onto Ruby's mother issues, how much of her is angry at her mother for abandoning her and for placing this burden on her shoulders by dying and failing.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if there isn't a small part of her that kind of, right now in her current mental state, is resentful towards her mother for placing this burden upon her shoulders incidentally.
Mm-hmm.
And for leaving her and abandoning her. Unintentionally, but that's still what happened. She got abandoned because her mother died, and it wasn't it wasn't her mother's choice to die, but she put herself in a situation that put her life at risk.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't go up against Salem and live to tell the tale, really. So
yeah, that's also another thing that's still like, I wish that Ruby had the chance to talk with Ozpin about, is like, did her mom know that like Salem was immortal? Like, how much did Oz tell Summer?
I feel like Crow, Raven, Summer, and Ty were, if not fully informed, mostly informed. That's the thing, is Ozpin doesn't really fully inform anybody about anything.
I was about to say they definitely weren't fully informed, because like that was why Crow got so fucking drunk in 6.
Got to the point where Summer went up against Salem. Salem killed Summer and used her for that sick experiment. Well, killed her. Used her for that sick, grim experiment. Summer absolutely must have known what she was going up against. Or at least I want to hope that she did. Because if she didn't, that's worse.
Yeah. Because I'm like, I mean, because if he was using her, because I mean, he was obviously using her for her silver eyes to try to, get the grimness out of her.
And it didn't work, yeah.
And it, like, he would have had to have said that. Well, but I guess, like, the thing before they knew Salem's thing was that she was an ancient darkspawn. This isn't Dragon Age. An ancient grim. Wasn't that what kind of their whole, like, isn't that what the lie about Salem was until Volume 6?
I don't remember, I'll be perfectly honest.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm just like, that's always a thing that I've wondered, is how much did Summer know? Because like we obviously know from Crow that that he never got the full story. How much did Raven know though? Because didn't Raven kind of?
I almost feel like the fact that Summer, it seems like Summer went up against Salem solo. Like, it doesn't seem like Crow, Raven, and Ty were involved in that at all.
Oh yeah, because
they wouldn't be alive
Raven was
if
already,
they were. So
Raven was already gone by that time. That's why.
And none of them seem to know what happened to Summer exactly. And obviously Ty was at home with the kids. So he wasn't involved, and Raven was off being Raven, so she wasn't involved. Crow might have been more involved than he lets on, but he doesn't. He said before he doesn't know what happened to her, and
Yeah.
I don't think he's lying about that.
I don't think so either.
So obviously it was just her against Salem, and I feel like Ozpin definitely just fully used her, hoping that her silver eyes would kill Salem, and it just didn't work. So, I don't know how much more we're going to learn about Summer is the trouble
I know.
at this point in time, because we.
I just want to know. I just want to know, and like this is the perfect opportunity.
I feel like we've learned enough that we're like, okay, we know what happened now, but we don't know the full story, and I don't know that we'll ever get the full story.
But I want the full story.
I do too, because I want to know how much I'm supposed to kick Ozpin in the gonads.
I know. I mean, it's like
at this point,
the things that have existed since the beginning of the show are Ruby Rose and Summer's grave.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I need answers about Summer because we.
What happened to Summer?
What happened?
I know we know, but we don't know. Tell us the truth.
Yeah, and I just want to know and more. But again, I don't think that. I don't necessarily think that this episode will give us that information.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, it's just interesting that they would throw that little bit of like Summer Rose in there, and give us that like tiny little bit of insight into Ruby's current mental state. She got a lot on her mind, poor girl. I don't know how you're even meant to begin sorting through all of the back to back just trauma that's been thrown at that poor girl.
Yeah. I mean, that's why a lot of people are saying that I hope Ruby's issues don't just get resolved by the end of the volume. And I'm like, listen, they won't be resolved.
But
she's going to be in a much better place.
Just be like, I'm going to shelve the rest of this for a later time. I'm going to get through what I need to get through now and shelve the rest. Because, like, I don't know really what more of a choice she's going to have.
Really, I think the biggest thing is right now as well is Ruby struggling with her purpose. You know? And that's why so much of this volume has been talking about people's purposes.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's the biggest thing that Ruby needs to resolve. Because the other thing too is once Ruby has that resolved, a lot of her sense of self will also kind of come back.
Yeah. She's just completely lost her way and lost her hope.
Yeah. So it's once she's like found her purpose again, she will be much better. But like, you know, there are still like the deaths of Penny, the death of her mother, like the loss of the relics, like all of that is still gonna weigh on her.
Yeah.
So,
the weight of the world is on her little shoulders, and it's too heavy.
Literally.
It's too heavy for one little Ruby Rose.
That's the other thing too, is I also do think that the other three girls will be instrumental in
absolutely
in her finding her purpose again, because
they're gonna have to pick her up. It's like, you know, she spends all her time picking them up. It's their turn to pick her up, and I think
I mean, like her whole
she's not gonna be able to get there on
her own. Her whole blow up was what about me, and you know, and I think that's, you know, once the dust settles, the others are gonna realize that, oh shit,
we have been neglecting Ruby.
We left Ruby behind. Like we just trusted that she was fine, and like
she hasn't been fine for a long time, but she just is too good at putting her own feelings aside to make sure everyone else is okay. But again, she's human, and she can't do that forever without completely losing her fucking shit. And it was long overdue for her. And she's probably also the kind of person that's gonna explode, and then she's good. You know, mostly. Yeah. She's like, she'll explode, and then she'll feel really guilty about it. And then they'll all kiss and make up, and it'll be fine. But like...
Well, I here's the thing. I think that normally that's what would have happened, but I think Jean kind of...
He made it worse.
He dug in that wound, so there's going to be a little bit more stuff for her to deal with now. Like, she hasn't just gotten the emotions out and blah.
He has to apologize to Ruby. She's had it tough. Leave her alone.
Yeah. I mean, so is he, but
yeah,
like...
I mean, I get where he's coming from, but at the same time, this isn't fresh for him. It's fresh for men still. He's had 20 years to sit with this shit.
I mean, but he hasn't been dealing with it for 20
no,
years.
No, he hasn't.
So
no, he has not.
It's really festered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I feel so bad for Ruby. Because it's like...
I know.
The weight... It's a crushing weight to feel like you are solely responsible for the fate of the whole world. And... I mean, yeah, you can't carry that weight around with you without it starting to break your back.
Wow. I was actually really surprised too in the episode when she even picked up her weapon. Yeah. Like, I know she kind of had no choice to, but like, you know, with all the like stuff that the blacksmith lady said about, you know, the weapon being like a source of her burdens and her responsibilities, I was like, damn, she picked it up. Wow. I mean, she never fired it, and, you know, when push came to shove, she dropped it.
Yep. So
like, you know. But then also when she ran off, she grabbed it again. So like, I don't know. I'm just like, I thought that the like picking up of her weapon would end up being a lot more symbolic, and I think that, you know, eventually it will be more symbolic. But like, I was kind of like waiting for like the one big moment, and now it's going to be like, no, there's still going to be a big moment, but it maybe just won't have the same oomph to it because it's not like the first time she's picked it up all volume.
At the end of the day, she's still attached to Crescent Rose. It's still an extension of herself because that's how she sees it. But like, right now she's just struggling in every sense of the word. She'll get there, but she's gonna need a shove in the right direction. Yeah, I just feel really bad for her.
I know.
She just needs a hug.
She wouldn't take a hug right now, though.
No,
because she was pretty upsetty spaghetti, and if Weiss had tried to hug her, she'd have been like, you know.
Yeah.
So, oh man. Well, we just keep like sidetracking to the end of episode 7 because we're just like, it's what we've done.
Let's talk about bees.
Bees.
Because this scene was perfect in every way.
Honestly,
I have no notes.
Stunning.
Stunning, beautiful, visually
flawless.
Incredible, flawless, incredible voice performances, fucking gorgeous lighting.
Beautiful animation.
Made me cry, scream, and throw up. All of the above. So gay. I love it.
Oh man, this
was just such a long time coming, and they had to get it perfect, and they did.
I just also, though, it is kind of one of those things where like, I hate that now that, and I saw people talking about this on Twitter, that like now that they've kissed their canon, and I'm like, bitches, they have been canon
this whole time.
Yeah. Well, it's even like you could maybe argue that like it wasn't like majorly explicit until volume 6.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it's been explicit since then. Like,
I mean, they've been holding hands and like looking at each other a lot, and you know, the body language was fully there, and even some of the spoken stuff was there a little bit. But like, this was the first time they had actually said their feelings out loud.
Yeah, this is just like the shove, you know. But I just,
oh my god, that shot of Blake when she like after Yang says, "Are there any major truths we haven't dropped on each other?" and Blake like looks up at her and the sky starts to turn pink and she blushes. I'm like, you're so beautiful! Stop it!
I know.
It's so cute. I love this scene. It makes me cry every time I watch it.
And I just love the also like immediate gay panic from Yang.
And like
It's just
I love the juxtaposition between the two of them as well, because Blake is so obviously so ready for this moment, and she's just been waiting for Yang to just take the leap. But obviously for Yang, there is a lot of fear involved in this, because it's like she says, it's like it's a cliff, and if I do it, I'm just gonna fall. And because, you know, she's got abandonment issues and attachment problems, and everybody she loves leaves her, including Blake, who's done it before, which, like, just surmounts all of this fear for her, that, like, she doesn't want to allow herself to get attached in that way, because it opens up this whole new level of, like,
vulnerability and pain.
Yeah, exactly. It opens her up to losing someone that she loves. And, like, in that sense, of course she loves all of them, but not in the way that she loves Blake. It's different.
And also it's different where, like, even, you know, Yang knew that she loved Blake. It's just, but, like, making it real, like, you know, it was one thing when it was just, like, you know, in her head and she could just push it away, but now it's like, no, I have to, like,
now they're being forced to.
I'm forced to put it here, and, like, it was really hard for her. And I just loved the visuals of it, and even, like, Yang's like, how do we take the next step in the beginning, and, you know, like, then when, you know, is there any hard truths, and they get ripped further away from each other when Yang pulls back, and I'm just like, you know, the visuals of what's happening in her head, and I just loved it.
I love how awkward Yang is too. You have cat ears, and Blake's like, "Yep." It's just,
I like your brain.
Cute. Yeah, you've got a good brain, she says. She's so awkward. It's so funny.
I loved. Did you see the behind the scenes of a line that clearly got cut, where Blake said, "I like your brain too. I mean, you make me laugh." Like, it was clearly a line that got cut. Yeah. And it was Erin in the booth, and then she delivers that line, and then she goes, like, happy dances. And it's funny because the happy dance part of that line, or of that clip, she, like, posted on Instagram when she was recording her lines last year. And, like, it was how she was, like, you know, back in the studio, and it was her doing the happy dance. And I'm like,
it was from this scene.
No, and it was from that scene. And I was like, you knew exactly what you were doing.
Yeah, of course you did. Yeah, I mean, I love the contrast between the two of them, where, like, Yang is just terrified to do this, and Blake is so fucking ready to do this. She, like, when Yang says, "I think I love you," Blake practically cuts her off to say it back.
I love you.
I love you. Oh, finally. Like, she's been waiting for this for so long.
I also do love that, like, Yang is still, like, trying to hold on to that, like, vulnerability by adding an "I think" in front of it. Like, I think I love you. Like, she's still, like, afraid to say it.
She's afraid. It's almost like she's scared that Blake isn't going to reciprocate. And Blake is like, I wish you'd just say it so I could reciprocate already. Like, yeah. It's so funny.
That's even, like, in their kiss, too, where, like, they start to go in, and then, like, Yang stops, so Blake stops, and just, like, Blake just, like, looks at her, and then Yang comes in for the rest of it, and
oh my god, the lilies and the lighting in the sky, and, like, oh my god, it was so fucking pretty. Yeah.
It was so good. I loved it.
Stunning, beautiful lesbians. Well, Blake is bi. Beautiful sapphics. We love them.
We actually don't even really know how Yang identifies. The only thing that I saw was that Aaron Troshi, the animator, they had a headcanon that Blake or that of a conversation between Yang and Ty, and Yang's like, "I'm Pan," and Ty's like, "Me too."
Literally, I mean, Ty fucked his entire team, including Crow, and that's my headcanon.
There's only literally the thing. One of the things that was included in their tweet was that Ty is like, you can only wake up in bed with the wrong sibling so many times.
Ain't no way that boy is straight. He is the sluttiest of them all. Tai Yang.
It's true.
Tai Yang is the OP slut in RWBY.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, bees.
Bees.
I mean, I like to perceive Yang as being a lesbian, but like,
I personally am like, I'm in that camp as well because again, she's really not shown any interest in anybody outside of
just
Blake.
Visually, she just like there's a lot of like lesbian symbolism for her, particularly in this volume. So
yeah,
but I mean, Blake, we've had bisexual symbolism for a lot longer,
ever,
like, for forever, basically. Even in volume 1, it was there. So like, hers is very clear. I feel like there's no room for interpretation there. She's bisexual, whereas Yang is a little bit more open to
and it's the other thing too is that like it does work with Yang's character as well. Of people talk about her like kind of flirting with the boys in volume 1, and I'm like, but her character is like, she's got attachment issues, and like in that way I could see her being that person who's like, oh yeah, I'm into everybody, like, but if anybody actually reciprocated any of those feelings, she'd be like, nope. Like it's like she's flirty as a personality trait and not as like who she is as a person,
I feel that because I'm like, I flirt with men, doesn't mean I want to fucking date them. No thank you. But I'm gonna make myself Google. Yeah, I mean, I have no notes about the scene. It was just even the music. Oh my god, fucking
it's
Casey.
just
I cannot wait to hear that full track.
I literally like with the like that are in the background. I'm like, just hearing that makes my like heart sing.
The build up to it once the like the vocalization starts in the background. I'm like, here it comes. But
I also I loved how in last podcast we were like, I don't know how we're gonna end up with a bee's kiss.
It made perfect sense when it happened, but like
as soon as I saw the title for the episode, I went, fuck. Yeah, we're getting a bees. We're getting a bees thing. Because it's confessions. Confessions. Like,
what are we confessing?
So I was like,
what else is there to confess? Yeah, no, as soon as I saw the title, I was like, maybe I was wrong. But I was like, I still don't see how we're going to get there. And then we got there, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I had a thought. I fucking lost it. I don't remember what I was going to say.
Bees, music.
Oh yeah, the music. I saw a tweet after the episode aired that it was a tweet from somebody from like 2 years ago talking about the eventual bee's kiss being like, I need the gayest lighting with the softest gayest music in the background, and I'm like, that's exactly what you got. So and it was them tweeting their own tweet about it being like, let's fucking go or something like that. I don't remember what it was, but it was like 3 weeks ago that I saw it now. But 2 weeks ago. How long's it been? I don't know.
Feels like a lifetime.
A lifetime. We've been waiting for this for a fucking lifetime.
Oh no.
It feels like
oh my god, I love Jean's line where he was like, I feel like I've been waiting for that forever, and I was like, me too.
I'm gonna tease people by saying this, but like Larissa and I have been trying to make a particular AMV for literally almost 3 years now.
I was gonna say, ever since you guys finished with Battlefield.
Yeah. Like a year after we finished with Battlefield, we started working on this next one, and I'm not going to say what it is, but I
don't even remember at this point.
We needed the bees kissed, and it kept not happening. So we couldn't finish it.
Because you guys were like, it's going to happen in 7.
Yeah,
then,
we were
nope,
like...
didn't happen in 7. It'll happen in 8. Didn't happen in 8.
We started making this AMV about almost to the end of volume 6, I want to say, we started working on this. It was after Adam's death, I reckon, we started working on this AMV. And we worked on it for a few months on and off, and we were waiting for volume 7 to come out because we were like, we need the Bee's Kiss. That needs to be in here, and if it's not in the volume, we're not making the AMV. So it wasn't in volume 7, so we're like, fuck, I guess we're waiting for volume 8. And then it wasn't in volume 8. Well, fuck, I guess we're waiting for volume 9. And now that it's finally happened, we're like, cool, we can finish that AMV we started 3 fucking years ago. So we're probably gonna finish that, and it's gonna come out at some point this year. But, like, I'm not gonna say anything more than that about it because I don't want to spoil what it's gonna be, but it's gonna be super good.
It was so long ago, I don't remember. I remember you guys working on it.
I
don't remember anything else about it.
That we made we finished like a couple of like 5-second long pieces, but like we worked on it, and then we haven't worked on it for the last like 2.5 years because we were like, there's no point if we don't have that scene, because we gotta, you know, work everything around that particular scene. And now that we have it, now we can start piecing everything else together, because that was the part that was, we needed it. It wasn't going to work without it. So and we've also gotten a lot of other really useful,
I was gonna say, you now so many other Bees moments over the last 3 volumes that you can
it's gonna be
throw in there now as well.
I am excited about it. Anyway, I mean,
I also still love that when they came out of the Punderstorm, that like Blake and Yang are still making out, and like
Weiss is just like, was popped. That was
she
so
did.
Cute.
And like Weiss is just like, and Ruby looks at him and goes, like,
yeah,
she
that
squeaks.
Little noise that she makes, yeah. Also, they were still going for a very long time while they were just standing there watching them.
Yeah. It wasn't until Little made a noise that they were like, huh? Oh, yeah. Hi.
And they're like, oh, you guys are here. Completely in their own little world. But I saw another tweet as well after the episode that somebody was like, congrats to everyone who said Blake would pop her foot when they eventually do kiss.
I mean, listen, it's so Blake.
It is.
Listen, I tried not to envision the Bee's Kiss too much because I wanted to wait for the show.
I had given up hope it was ever going to happen. I've been waiting for it for so long because I'm like, I need it for this fucking thing I want to make.
That moment in volume 8, though, where they touched foreheads, I was so convinced it was happening then, and it didn't. I was like, I mean, it wouldn't have been the right moment. I was so annoyed when it didn't
happen because I've been waiting for it because it's like, I want to finish this AMV, but we need that. And every time it didn't fucking happen, I was so annoyed. And then I just ended up giving up hope that it was going to happen in any time in the future. And then they took 2 years to make 9. And then by then, I'd sort of given up that we were going to finish it. And then they dropped it. And Larissa was like, so we're finishing that now, right? I'm like, absolutely we are. Of course we're finishing it. We can't not do it now. Who's sending me a message? I am streaming.
It is not me.
No, it's
or
not.
Is it?
How dare you? Did you hack into Rich's account to send me a message?
Of course I did.
Yeah, I mean, what else needs to be said about that scene? It was just, it was beautiful, and it was worth the wait, sort of, not really. It was too long of a wait, but it was still worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. Sorry.
I love them. They're adorable.
Also, the song that plays during that is called Worthy.
Which
Casey said is, in fact, Bumblebee Part 2, so...
Fuck yeah. We love to see it. I can't wait for the... Reach! How dare you! I'm doing a podcast! Just saw your message. What was I about to say? I can't wait for Volume 9's soundtrack. I cannot wait to just, like, hear it all in its entirety. And I'm also cautiously optimistic that it's going to come out a lot sooner than previous soundtracks have been coming out, because...
I kind of do as well, especially
like
just...
It's, especially because, you know, she dropped the full OP song on day 1. just
yeah.
dropped
Although
it. This is done. Here you go. And we were like,
I don't know,
thank
because
you.
she did announce sometime this last week. I think it was like the 3rd or something, but she announced that uh her band, Okay Goodnight, are releasing an album soon. So I'm kind of like,
I feel like they just don't stop. They're just always producing music. I'm like, how else could they release so much shit? And like, there's been a new song every other episode this volume so far.
Yeah.
There's been like 4 of them in 7 episodes, not
Yeah,
counting the
I mean,
OP. I think there's been 4. Oh, maybe counting the OP, there's been 4.
I would say 4 counting the.
There was the one with the
because
Beast Kiss, the one in chapter 7, the one in chapter was it 2
3.
with the 3 with the fight, and there was another one. Where was that?
There's another one. Oh, during the Jabberwocker fight in 4.
Yes, so there's been 4 including the OP.
There has been 4, and then the is 5 for
so
the
5 altogether.
OP.
Yeah. So 4 are not including the OP. Yeah. So there's been 5 tracks already, and we're halfway through, just over halfway through. Well, we're 7 into to a 10 episode volume. So there's 3 to go.
I don't think that we're getting a song this next episode though, because like,
oh no,
granted, Kruby are being very quiet about this next episode on like they've been hyping up every episode this volume on Twitter. They are radio silent on 8.
Silent, and I'm terrified because they kind of like were really chatty leading up to the bees thing, and now they're fucking radio silent, and I'm like, what is about to happen? I haven't seen a single one of them tweet anything in the last 2 days, and I'm like, I'm scared, you guys. Say something, please.
Especially because like Casey's been tweeting like this next episode is like, and then it kind of like, I think she said that 7 was like
emo funk city.
Yeah, emo funk city, and I was like, yeah, that is how I would describe the music in this episode. But then I'm like, there's nothing for 8.
Kruby talks excitement, Kruby silent fear. Exactly. Not good. It's not good. I would prefer that they talk too much than not at all, to be perfectly honest with you. Because now I'm absolutely shitting myself of like, what is going to happen in the next episode.
Yeah.
Especially because last week Eddie was saying that episode 7 is one of his favorites for the volume, and I'm like, yeah, I see why. Having seen it, but now I'm like, why is nobody saying anything? What? Like, is this just an unremarkable episode, or is it about? Is the shit about to hit the fan in a very real way?
I think it's about to hit the fan in a very real way.
I want to live in ignorance and pretend it's unremarkable. Okay. That's not gonna happen, but let me live.
We're in the final stretch now. Like, things are about to get real bad.
There's only 3 left. I can't believe there's only 3 left. I'm like, how are we gonna go from where we are to being spat out of the ever after in 3 episodes?
Especially like purely based on the intro. I think Neo's Tea Party is episode 8.
I'm so nervous. I don't like it.
I really think it's going to be like,
doesn't talk.
And I know that like they've already talked, or at least Aaron has talked about how they took some inspiration from Arcane and some of their animating stuff.
I mean, because it's Arcane. I feel like
it's Arcane.
Just about every piece of animation forever for the rest of time will draw inspiration from Arcane because it was so incredible. But yeah.
But I'm getting nervous about like, is Neo's Tea Party gonna be like Jinx's? Like,
oh god. Oh dear. Man, I love Arcane. I can't wait for season 2. Arcane is just a perfect piece of animation, and everything else should be taking fucking notes from Arcane.
Well, listen, Arcane had the advantage of taking 7 years to make. Like,
yeah, it's true. But it's a masterclass in animation.
But it is really fucking good, so.
They could have taken 7 years and pumped out something shit, like Cyberpunk did. Yes, it's a video game, but still, the principle applies. Just because they spent 7 years making it doesn't mean it's going to be good. But it was. Yeah, I feel like we'll see a lot of I've just forgot the word. A lot of inspiration drawn from Arcane. A lot of reference to not necessarily reference, but like I feel like all other forms of animation should really take notes from that, because it is a serious masterclass in how to do animation right. And not only right, but it's like it's a masterpiece. Like there's no other word I can use to describe it. It's just on all fronts, like that, and beyond just the animation itself, the sound design, the soundtrack, the acting, just every piece of Arcane is just so close to perfection. Like obviously nothing's perfect, but it is this close to perfection. As close as you can get. I could go on about Arcane forever. It's fucking brilliant. I've never seen anything like it, and we won't see anything like it ever again. There'll never be anything that good. But or maybe there will. Fuck me. Maybe there will be something as good as that.
Let's say something.
It will never
be
the first thing to be that good.
Yeah.
It really shocked me how good it was, because I expected literally nothing out of it. And I only watched it because everyone was saying how good it was. And I don't play League of Legends, but you don't need to enjoy it, because it's not really
so
related
far
to the game
from
at
League.
all.
Yeah.
And it's just such a masterclass in how to do really, really good animation. But yeah, it's one of the best shows I've ever seen. It's, I mean, it's basically faultless. But yeah, they had the advantage of being a massive studio with a huge budget, taking 7 years to make it, but it paid off. So, yeah, I'm glad to see Ruby taking cues from something like Arcane, because it should.
Everything should.
Everything should, because I mean, it would be foolish to have such a an excellent representation of animation and not take cues from it, because it was so fucking successful for obvious reasons. So like, why wouldn't you take cues from something like that? They're showing everyone else how it's done. So anyway, going off topic a little bit. Don't get me talking about Arcane. I'll talk your fucking ear off about it. I love that show so much.
How dare
I've seen it 8 times.
I think I've only seen
it once.
They're
an hour and a half long, those episodes.
Oh, they are really long.
And there's 9 of them, and I've seen it 8 times. Oh my gosh. Anyway,
they're like literally the length of Volume 1.
Yes.
Every episode is Volume 1.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, Volume 1 was almost 2 hours long, I think.
Was it?
It was like an hour and 47, I think it is altogether.
Oh, okay.
It's like roughly around there.
Yeah.
If you take out all the intros and credits, I think
that's
about
true.
how long it is. But with all the intros and credits, it's over 2 hours. Yeah. Anywho. Bees. That's what we were talking about.
Bees. Yes.
I mean, yeah, I have nothing else to say.
I don't know if I... Let me consult my notes. Nope.
Right.
Yeah. Well, about the bees, we didn't really talk about the cat part of the Thunderstorm, which is why I didn't really like the Thunderstorm at all. Is because the cat like comes to confront them.
Yeah.
And is basically like, and lets us know that Alex promised to take them with her to Remnant, and then said, "Peace, bitch."
I don't trust anything that cat says. Not a single thing.
Listen, I think the cat says a lot of half-truths, but I don't think in that moment that the cat was lying.
I don't trust them. I'm like, everything they say, I'm like, I don't believe a word that comes out their mouth.
I don't know. I kind of trust them.
I don't.
Especially, like, the fact that they left Team Ruby behind. They were like, "You guys are using me, so bye." I was kind of like, "Wait, come back. I kind of trust you more."
But they're manipulating you.
And
Don't
listen,
fall for it.
listen. I will if I want to.
I trust John, but I also think he's wrong about a lot of
Oh,
things.
yeah. That's my my biggest struggle with like that, and it's why I was so disappointed in the Thunderstorm is because I'm like, I wish that like, they naturally want to trust Jean because
Yeah.
Jean's their friend, but like,
Because
you
he's
know,
Jean, but like he's
because
also,
he's Jean. But
even though
I
he's
wish that
been there a
this had
long,
happened
yeah.
after they'd gotten to see him a bit more and seen how he was kind of losing it a bit more,
Mm-hmm.
and so maybe they would have distrusted him a bit more.
Even though he's been there a
Um,
long time, he seems to be still fairly ignorant about a lot of things.
yeah.
He
And like
like
even
yeah.
the thing that he says in episode, like he says, I have a plan. And then in episode 7, he's like, okay, so here's my map of the place. And they're like, great, what's the plan? And he's like, find a way out.
That's the
And they
plan?
were like,
Like, that's not a plan.
no, that's the goal. What's the plan?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and so it is kind of thing where they kind of went with Jean because Jean was like, I have a plan to get us out of here. And the plan was for him to search the acres for another way out. And
Yeah.
it's like,
He's
but
trying to
that's not a,
achieve in one day what he couldn't do in 20 years. It's like,
yeah.
but he's like, I've been busy, so you guys get busy and I'll go do the thing. But it's like, it's not going to be that simple, Sean.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's just, so I'm like, I kind of wish this Thunderstorm had happened after,
Mm.
um, after they'd had
The
that
great flooding of
conversation.
the paper planes.
I'd say maybe not fully after the flooding, but yeah, I don't know. It's just like, that's the other thing I wonder too is I'm like, that storm rolled through his village. Why didn't the paper pleasers just go outside
It's
and melt
true.
away?
It's true.
Like, I'm
Just
convinced
walk
he
out into
locks
the
them in their
rain.
homes.
Yeah.
I'm convinced he has them locked in their homes. Like,
Probably. It wouldn't surprise me. Because plot. Yeah, exactly.
it's true. Um,
So
but yeah, sorry. um, but the cat, like, I feel like it would have been a more difficult choice for them to make if that had been the case. But it was even a thing where once they seemingly made their choice, like they were at the physical crossroads, they went the Jean direction. The Punderstorm didn't end,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm like, what more do they have to figure out here? And it's just, ugh. I don't like it. I didn't. They set up the Thunderstorm to be this big thing, and then they just
Yeah.
didn't do with it what they were gonna do with it. And then it was the cat that eventually went, "Oh, you guys are using me. I don't want to be used anymore. I don't trust humans. Bye." And then the Thunderstorm ends, and I'm
Yeah.
like, why is it because the cat no longer wants to help them that now the Thunderstorm ends instead of when they were like, "Okay, cool, we're gonna go with Sean." Like,
I think the cat's
they didn't.
manipulating them.
I
I
just
don't trust him.
didn't like the Thunderstorm as a
Yeah.
storytelling tool.
It could have been such an interesting storytelling device, and they just kind of used it as a vehicle to do the bees thing. And then,
Hmm.
like you said, everything around it was a little bit meh. And then it just ends. And, like,
Hmm.
especially because it's in the intro as well. And, like, it so wasn't that much of a thing. You think we're going to get another one? Yeah, I wonder if that isn't going to be the case.
Yeah, well, because there is that moment with Ruby on the bridge
Mm-hmm.
with Alex and
And it would be
stuff.
weird if they
So
did that in the intro, and then the only time we saw the bridge was for the bee's kiss. Like, that's a weird
yeah,
misdirection to have.
yeah, I
So
have
maybe
kind
we're
of been
getting
debating
another
that as well. But the thing that it then
Ruby
kind
and
of feels
Neo on
like,
the bridge. Ooh, that would be
ooh,
interesting. But Neo can't speak, so how would that work?
yeah.
Sign language. Yeah.
I know it's just the only reason that has me like I would like that to happen, but the reason that has me doubting that will happen is because like Jean states that the reason that um Blake and Yang are elsewhere is because they have something bigger to resolve,
Mm-hmm.
which and so I'm like, and And Ruby doesn't? I mean,
Ruby and
granted,
Neo
Ruby
have
doesn't
got
have
something
any.
bigger to resolve.
I was about to say, maybe it's the Neo element that's missing. That then once Neo's there, it's like, okay, now we can like have you guys resolve this.
Mm.
But I was just like, really, like you want me to believe right now that Ruby's biggest struggle is if we trust John or the cat? Really? Like,
It's
so
really not. It's not her biggest struggle
yeah.
right now. The biggest struggle is herself right now.
hmm
Um,
So it's just, I just really am like, I did not like the Thunderstorm.
yeah.
I
Maybe
wish it
we
had been
are gonna get
better.
another one because it's kind of weird with the symbolism in the intro versus the way it played out in the actual show. There's a lot of
Because yeah,
misdirection in there.
because it could still work out, especially where like each of those like kind of big shots in the intro kind of has correlated to an episode,
Mm-hmm.
in some way. And I could see that, except episode 7 didn't really get one.
Yeah.
Unless maybe if we want to count Jean with the fire. I don't know.
Hmm.
But that could be episode 8's. Because like I think episode 10's is the like Team Ruby climbing up the tree and then falling.
I want to go back and watch the intro now and see if I can find any paper pleasers in there anywhere. Like I kind of want to see if
I don't
there's like.
I didn't see any because there also weren't any paper pleasers in the market in episode 5.
Mm.
Like John's got them locked up at home.
Well, yeah, because the outside world is dangerous for them, I suppose. But
Yeah, because if they get out of his sight, they can go tree. But
I wonder
yeah,
what they will
that's the
come
other
back
thing too, though.
as.
I do wonder as well. Is I'm like, if these things have finished their purpose, and the cat is supposed to like, you know, feed the tree, as John says,
Yeah.
why is the cat not like slipping into the village at night to go?
They probably
Yoo-hoo?
were, and John was putting a stop to it.
The only thing that makes me think that maybe that's not the case is because like they are still performing their duty. And so
Hmm.
like because John kind of is like theorized that either if they either continue their duty or they get a new one, and since they're still doing what they're supposed to be doing, the cat doesn't mess with them, I guess maybe.
Look, clearly the cat and John have a whole thing they need to work out.
It's true. Because John wanted to kill them the first time he saw him.
Yeah. Jean took quarantine and lockdown seriously. Yeah, a bit too seriously. Yeah. God, it's so morbid. These poor little paper pleasers. Because I'm
I
like,
know.
I want to beat Jean over the head and be like, just let them die. It's what they want. You're killing them. They're tearing me apart, Lisa.
I mean, Neo. Well, that was a theory I also saw is that the Blake paper pleaser was like our wisest are going to topple over the pebble tree thing, and they were like,
why are they doing
and
the same things at the same times every day? What's up with that?
here's like I think that that's part of like it because in a weird way I like the paper pleasers like in their doing it that way so Jean can save them
Because they want to please
because
him.
because they want to please him. That's why
Okay.
I think it's so like
Interesting.
even though they want to die, they
They
are
still
still
want to
like, oh,
please him. Yeah.
but they still are like, but we're people, we're paper pleasers, so we have to, and this is what Jean wants. Jean wants to be the hero, so we'll, let him be a hero.
What a sad existence, living only
I
to
know.
please others.
The paper pleasers are so depressing.
It's so sad! I feel so bad for them.
Well, they're
and
dead
they
now.
don't even know how shit
R.I.P.
they've got it. Well, they're dead now, so.
They're not dead, they've ascended. They're going to make more robust things next time.
Mm-hmm. They're gonna come back as Jabberwockers.
Oh, God.
Just add to the problem. Yeah.
I had another thought. Oh, but people think that because that one was like oh, why do you think it'll work today? And they were like, just a feeling.
No reason.
or no reason. And people are like, Neo, they contacted Neo, and Neo is coming to distract him so that way. And I'm like, no, they're just like so positive. Like these
They're
beings are just so
so
positive that
optimistic.
they're so optimistic. They probably think that every day that today's the day we die.
It's gonna
Yay!
work today. And then, oh, drat. Well,
Yeah. Because I'm like, they can't even contact the tree. Like, John is actively keeping them from contacting the tree. How the hell are they going to be like, yoo-hoo, Neo? Like,
yeah. I mean, it's such a weird moral question of like, is it cruel to keep them alive when all they want to do is die? It's like,
mhm.
well, yeah, it is cruel.
Yeah.
If that's what they want, then they should be able to make that decision for themselves.
Mhm.
But
And
also,
also, like
like,
they say, it's not death. Like, they
it's
aren't.
ascension. Yeah, exactly. It's
It's
rebirth.
ascension. They finished their purpose and they want a new one.
Mm.
So they're going to go get one. But Jean's just like, no, it's death. It eats them.
Jean's just projecting his own failure complex onto
Neuroses.
this whole situation. I think. Uh, poor dude. He just wants so
Yeah.
desperately to save people, and he just seems to always end up not being able to save them.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to make amends, I think.
And that's not how it's going to happen.
No, it isn't.
I'm still like, I'm convinced John's not making it out of this volume. Like,
I don't know. I'm like
I just,
of two minds about it.
I think he still has more story to do, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. Like, do they want
He's
to
got
bring Old
unresolved
Man
shit with
John?
Cinder though.
Yeah,
I need him to resolve his shit with Cinder. He needs to go kick her ass.
yeah. And that's the thing too, though, is I'm also like, I don't necessarily like initially I was thinking towards the like he sacrifices himself so that he can get out, but I'm like, but we don't actually know that. Like, he's just assuming that Alex was like, bye Lewis, la la la, to get
Yeah.
out. Like,
He doesn't know what happened, yeah.
he has, I don't know why he has that theory in his head.
Well, because he
So,
knew
like,
Alex.
I guess,
I'm
yeah.
assuming that's why. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's the
Doesn't
only way
sound
he
like
could
she was
logic
the
why
best
Lewis isn't in
person.
the book.
Yeah.
But it's still, I'm like, I don't necessarily think that a sacrifice will be needed for them to get out, so I don't think that they will need Jean for that purpose. So, but yeah,
Hello, camera. Focus, please.
the
Hello.
the focus on me.
There we go. Yeah. Was there anything else on your notes?
I did have the town, the paper pleasers refer to Juniper as the White Rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if Jean going, um
I'm late.
uh I'm
Yeah.
late, I'm late, like are just making it abundantly clear.
Yeah.
um the teacups that they were served with are Leo's teacups from the
I
third
noticed
intro.
that.
So yikes. And then on Jean's map, the acres he's identified were the Hunter Mice, the
Mm-hmm.
Crimson Castle, the Garden, the Paper Pleasers, the Cake Acre, or the Caker,
The caker.
the Farming Flats, Blob,
Blob?
Pyramid, yeah, Blob, B-L-O-B. Pyramid, which is the one that he thinks is how they'll get out, the one he wanted to go check.
Right.
The Volcano, the Jabberwocker, Swan Lake, Stinky Cheese, and Green Chapel.
Stinky cheese.
Mm-hmm. And then there are 19 more blank spaces.
Okay, is Green Chapel just the Emerald City?
I mean, maybe.
Interesting.
But yeah, I really think that the only one on there that will be any relevant is the Jabberwocker one.
Mm-hmm. And the
and
pyramid,
then
maybe.
maybe volcano because well I just because of where the locations are, the pyramid one is pretty far away,
Okay.
and so from the paper pleasers one, like the two nearest locations are Jabberwocker and volcano, so I
Okay.
think those are really the only two that could maybe end up being used, and
Probably.
especially Jabberwocker is not next to the tree. So from Jabberwocker, it'd be volcano tree. So that's the only reason I'm like, maybe we're going to the volcano at some point.
Okay.
I don't know.
Glad you paused to
And
look at all of these things because I didn't.
you're welcome. And then I also saw, and Arnold tweeted this out, that if you look at the in episodes one, at the end of episode one, when Blake, looks out over everything, and then the start of episode two, where you can see a little bit more of
Mm-hmm.
the acres, Jean's map is fairly accurate. So like you can kind of like where they are, and then you can see the Crimson Keep and the garden
Yeah.
and the paper pleasers one off to the side. So like everything kind of like his map is accurate, and it's interesting now where I'm like I want to kind of go back and look at my notes from episode one where I was like trying to guess all the biomes and the acres around to be like how close was I with some of these.
Mm.
But let's see. That's not my notes. That's my notes. Um, oh, I also was questioning how Jean was able to get to all these places without a guide, because you know how, like, the Ever After kind of holds you in place.
Yeah.
And then, so I was wondering if maybe Juniper counts as his guide.
Maybe.
Because, like, Little's been with them pretty much most of the time, so that could be why they're able to get around at least slightly easier.
Mm-hmm.
Is because Little is technically their guide, and then the cat was, and now Jean is. So,
Yeah.
and Jean's always got Juniper with him. So,
And before that, the
um,
cat was there as well. So.
yeah. Oh, there was something on his schedule that was check on the terrible twos, and it was terrible
Oh.
twos.
Haha. Very
Um,
punny.
oh, oh, he also wrote down if you wouldn't give it to a baby, don't give it to the paper pleasers.
So no
Um,
forks. Got it.
yeah. And then oh, I wrote down the specific people that he mentioned were Oscar, who he needed to take away anything that he could turn into a kite. So I think Oscar wanted to fly
no
away.
handkerchiefs or tablecloths for Oscar.
Mm-hmm. Ren was the one that he keeps having to save him from the koi pond. Ren keeps wanting to go swimming in the koi pond.
How very Ren of him.
Ruby helps him rebuild the scarecrows. Nora wants to climb the Pebble Tower during the daily windstorm.
How very Nora.
And then Neptune's the clumsy one that has scissors, and Pyrrha has homework.
Pyrrha has homework.
Ba, 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 ba. Oh, Jean's little like, I'm not crazy. That was kind of iffy, but Jean's losing it.
Yeah. I'm glad now in retrospect that they didn't show us Jean and Paper Pyrrha interacting, because that would have just ripped my heart out some more. They've sufficiently ripped out my heart. I don't need it ripped out anymore. Thank you.
Oh, I also wrote down that I liked that Yang was the one who pointed out that they don't actually know what happens to Lewis.
Yeah.
That neither Jean nor the cat were actually there.
Yeah, they don't actually know what happened, yeah.
And I'm like, that is so, like, that's the perfect thing for Yang to say, especially because she's really, like, taking that lesson from Volume 5 that Raven taught her of, question everything.
Don't jump to conclusions. Question everything.
I'm just like, yes. Go Yang.
Like, fuck her mum, but also go Yang.
And then I have that I don't think I said before that the name of the song that plays during the fight was called Trapdoor.
Right.
And yeah. And then we already talked about how we don't think that Neo was actually the one changing the Jabberwocker's head It's
No.
just Ruby. I still do wonder if that Jabberwocker even was Neo, because Neo, still at the end snapped her fingers and
I don't think
shattered.
she was actually there. I think it's all illusion.
I'm like, I need to know how her new power works.
Me too.
Like, because in like, how far away can she control these things from? Because also she was controlling many at once,
Mm-hmm.
like, and they were acting independently. Like, especially the one that attacks Ruby is the one that Jean knocked into the river.
Yeah.
Was it Jean, or was it somebody threw it in the river? And
I
that
don't
was the
know.
one that attacked Ruby. So like,
Yeah.
and then the others are still off fighting other Jabberwockers. So like, if that one actually was Neo, how is Neo like able to like still keep these other ones fighting while she's, drowning?
I don't
Like,
know. This is the thing of like,
she's so powerful
she's
now.
so
Also,
powerful, and we
hydrate.
don't know anything about how it works, and obviously she's still figuring it out as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's also again why I don't think that Neo will survive the volume, just because she's like so overpowered right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like her to,
So would
mostly just
I.
because I think Cal would be super happy about
I
it.
was just thinking that. She would be pissed if Neo didn't make it out of this volume. Um, yeah, I don't
I
know.
saw a thing that apparently um in the original, or maybe I don't know if it's the original, but in Alice in Wonderland, um the Mad Hatter and the White Rabbit get trapped in the birthday party together. And so I'm like, I really hope that that's not something that's going to be happening in
I
this one,
haven't
because I
seen
don't want.
Alice in Wonderland since I
I
was
ha-
little.
I haven't either, so. But I'm like, she's clearly the Mad Hatter, but like, they could all weave. They could all go back to Vacuo, pretty please.
That's wishful thinking, I think.
I know. Listen, if you make me choose between Jean and Neo surviving, I'm picking Jean every time.
Obviously. But,
Like,
like,
sorry, Neo, love you, but like.
sorry, Neo, love you, but, yeah. No. Cool. Yeah. I have nothing else to add.
I don't think I do either. So, yes.
Right.
Overall, I loved episode 7.
Yes, I
It was
loved them
good.
both.
The breakdowns, incredible.
Yeah.
Heart shattering. Episode 6, loved the bee's confession. Loved the Alex
Highlight of the whole
backstory.
series.
Hated the Punderstorm.
Not great.
It was fine. It was an interesting narrative device that they just kind of wasted.
Yeah, I wonder
And
if we are going to see it again.
That's my biggest issue with it, is I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks everybody for watching. We will be back in 2 weeks again for episodes 8 and 9.
It'll be the day before the finale.
Yeah.
And
then our final
and then the week
one
after
will be the
on
week after that for episode 10. So yeah, next one in 2 weeks, and then the final one the week after that. And that will be it from us for this volume. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. If you're watching this on YouTube, we do stream this live on my Twitch every second Saturday from 3 p.m. AEST. I got it right.
Yay.
Yeah, so if you want to watch it live and join in on the conversation in the chat, you can do that. Otherwise, these go up on YouTube 2 weeks after they air on Twitch.
You're supposed to be one.
Shut up! It's 2 weeks because that's what it is now. I make the rules.
I say, if you're watching this when it goes up on YouTube, check Caden's Twitch. We might be live right now.
Just go follow the Boopcast Twitter. That will tell you when shit goes up.
That's literally what I say at the end of every single one of my reactions. Is I'm like, if you want to check out the Boopcast,
Twitter!
follow the Boopcast Twitter account.
Go to Twitter.
That's where it's
I post it on there. Just go there if you want to know when shit goes up. Okay. Thanks, everybody. We will see you in 2 weeks. pray for us for tomorrow.
So scared.
Tonight, actually. Bye.
Bye.